Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Technical Issues, the show. I'm Benno.
And I'm JP.
It is a weekend show. Yeah, you can't see me right now because my camera's just malfunctioned while we were playing the theme song there, JP. But I think it might be the fact that I've just got to unpack from a backpack and got myself set up here. But while I sort that out, mate, how are you this evening on this lovely Friday?
Very well. Very weird weather over here because it's like a mixture of hailstorms and sun where I am. And I've been caught in both over the last couple of days, but I was hiking it across Oxfordshire. So that was a hell of a lot of fun, like managing to do all of that and looking forward to another weekend of footballing pain, of which I've just realised that I haven't done my fantasy team, which was meant to be the thing I was going to do this afternoon. So there's going to come a point, Benno, where I'm going to be asking your help about which player I definitely need to bring in this week. Preferably not an Arsenal one. But how about yourself? How are you? Where are you exactly at the minute? I know we can't.
I don't know myself. I don't think StreamYard knows as I continue to attempt to get the camera to run. But I am here.
Yeah.
Go on. I am here. Back in Vietnam. Go on.
You're back in Vietnam now. You were over in Kuala Lumpur. It's a cracking start, mate. This is brilliant.
I was thinking of putting this on the free feed as well, fucking hell, and going on YouTube. Yes, I am back in Vietnam. All is good. I will say, JP, the most stressful. I'd say this is stressful trying to sort this out here, which is, as those in the chat know, the professional start that they're all very used to. Like, honestly, you not because I'll start off from the top for apologising with, again, speaking of professionalism, me and Matty did plan on doing a spotlight review of Backlash earlier in the week, which meant I did cart all my equipment over with me on the flight to Kuala Lumpur. And like, you've never lived, JP, I've realised this. It might be a lot of these are very unique to me problems, or definitely a very unique to me problem is my particular brand of Rode microphone that I've got. Like, every time I go anywhere, like, the people at security just look at it like it's a bomb or something like that. You get like proper puzzled. What's that? What's that in your bag? What's that? It's to the point now where I take it out with my laptop, I take it out with my tablet, I have it out there on the tray. Still the same thing. It's like they literally pick it up, turn it around, like, what the fuck is this weird square thing? It must look like some kind of remote control device for maybe something nefarious. But usually I get through okay, but I am pretty sure at one of these points I'm going to get stopped and my podcasting equipment taken away from me, mate, which would make it even tougher to record than these issues we're having at the minute.
It's like being in Guantanamo Bay for you if they took that away, wouldn't they? I mean, it'd be like you might as well, frankly, go for your dick next, really. That would be the next thing they'd try and take away. I mean, it's very fun. Do they not have podcasts in Malaysia?
Like, or radio, maybe, like, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. They know what a microphone is. And surely the scanner's doing it. It's not like if there's a stick of dynamite inside it, connected to some sort of timer, I might well understand it. Outside of that, though, I just think it's just like, lads, what you don't know doesn't mean that it's bad or necessarily illegal, and it's gonna do some destructive damage. But yeah, I hope you had an amazing time over there, though.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, I'll talk more on the pre-show on Sunday. There's some things in there I probably want to save for very, very behind the paywall. But I had some good food. I had some great food. I had some terrible food. I had a decent hotel room. I had a horrendous hotel room. Then I had to leave after 2 days. It was all going off. And you mentioned Dynamite there. To be honest, that was the other thing on my flight. I had that moment where I was sat there watching on my tablet, watching AEW Dynamite for Wednesday night, and got a couple of weird looks. Just looking over at the screen. And it was specifically at the point of that women's multi-person where there were a few thongs on in there and such like that. Although equal opportunities. The men's matches got a few funny looks as well. As did when I tried to watch Backlash as well. That's the other very annoying thing about not getting that Backlash spotlight in the can. And we will get Matty's thoughts on it belated at some point. To have some plans to do a live with him probably next week, but stay tuned on that. I'll let you do the schedule in a minute while I refresh. But yeah, I literally watched the entirety of Backlash. I even sent over me notes to Matty just to prove the point. I made notes on my phone, all kinds of detailed thoughts on it. I mean, it got me through a 3-hour flight, so it wasn't the end of the world really with those ads. It kind of saved out. But I don't know. Would I have done that if I had the choice, if I knew I wasn't podcasting? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, exactly. Try and save yourself the grief, isn't it? Because give these bastards any kind of an excuse to do something even remotely dubious, and you think that they'll do. Maybe they're just itching for body cavity searches and things like that. And you just don't want to. You don't want to give them the impetus to go, well, I'll be able to do this there as well. But I look forward to Yeah, exactly. Well within the rights there, though. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on here at this point. So I should point out that, like, obviously we've got the weekend show today, but we do have a change this weekend for the patron show. We've had to do a little bit of moving around at this point in time. So what we're going to be doing on Sunday is a special Beyond the Mat Film Club. Obviously, we're going to speak about it in a bit, but the untimely passing of Barry Blaustein. So we're going to be doing that on Sunday. So we're looking for sort of pre-show around midday. That's the time that we're looking at the moment. Myself, Benno, and Matty are going to be doing that one, which is great. Again, another, rather like The Wrestler, it's be like, how the hell did we not end up covering this at some point? But yes, so we're going to be doing that on Sunday. We're then going to be moving, we're then going to have Sophia's Queen of the Mountain show the week afterwards for that. And then we're going to have a cheeky bit of a Raw roulette. It's a longer month, this one, because there's 31 days in it. And I found it while bloody working, I have to tell you that. So they're the changes that we've made at the moment for May. So yeah, a bit of Beyond the Mat Film Club as well, which I'm really looking forward to. Haven't seen the director's cut. Trying to see the director's cut, not coming up. All seems interviews with Jesse Ventura and Mick Foley 10 years afterwards. So yeah, that is what's going to be going on. In terms of other plugs as well, as you will all know, we did record a live episode of Time, which is my first time doing a live episode of Time. Somewhat terrifying, I have to say. I'm not used to it. You normally got the buffer of editing because there's a lot more high potential to say something and you think you might need to cut that bad boy out. But instead, we managed, it was brilliant work from Gareth there as well, managing to do it sort of copyright free. We were in May 2005. So we were all represented on the sports front in terms of the Miracle of Istanbul, trademark, Arsenal's horrific FA Cup victory of 2005, and West Brom even, their great escape. So incredible stuff there between those. So yeah, we've got Time out at the minute, Beyond the Mat this Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of these shows that I'm amazed that we did, that we've never done before.
Yeah. Honestly, like I literally did one of those things where I was like, am I doing a Gareth here? I'm going to search through the entire backlog and just double check the back catalogue and just double check that it's not in there. It's genuinely not in there. We've never covered it. I think maybe we might have talked about it on like the intro to a spotlight at some point, or definitely not in the Matty area anyway, and definitely not something deep dived on. So we saved it for an occasion, and obviously the sad news gives us a chance to talk about it, and we can maybe get into some other Barry Blaustein facts and stuff that we've learned across the week as well. But yeah, as I'm sure you've just told the people, a few changes for May. Obviously, Queen of the Mountain, Sophia Hitchcock will be letting us know her choice, I believe, this weekend as well for her show next week, and then obviously we'll get to Marty Ellis's planned King of the Mountain show at some point in June. But we make things work, JP. We move them around, and obviously lots for people still to look forward to. But on that note, on that wonderful start, so we just get into the wrestling, JP. While things are working, it'll hopefully carry us through, as we do need to start off. Like I noted at the top to catch up a little bit on the stuff that we missed. And top of thought, obviously, JP, is WWE Backlash from last weekend, which feels like it was 6 years ago. Which also, by the way, I will note, as much as I felt bad for not getting that spotlight in, I also noted that we didn't really get any complaints, and even Matty had to acknowledge, I'm not sure it's necessarily, something that people were massively looking for as far as takes go. But as I say, I will get as limited takes at a chance when I get to. But we can talk a little bit on the business coming out of it, or maybe talk some of the highlights and lowlights. I'll bring up my notes on my phone, JP, of the different thoughts I had from watching that thing live. But yeah, average 998,000 on ESPN2. It completely escaped me going into the pay-per-view, JP, that they were doing that again, that they were giving away the first two matches for free, which were pretty much half of the pay-per-view with the way these pay-per-views run. I think it's a very different matter when it's a WrestleMania, at least compared. And obviously, a few of the news stories coming out of it. Obviously, Asuka is since obviously with the emotional scene that was in the ring, since been said to be semi-retired, according to Dave Meltzer in the Observer, and he has followed up on that in the Observer News after today to talk a little bit about that, dealing with some family stuff back home. So she was kind of the main story coming out of it. There was obviously the John Cena Invitational that he announced too. That it feels like even John Cena's backtracked a little bit on Twitter. I don't think he knows on Twitter this week. Wins and losses don't matter. Feels like it should be the Road Dogg Invitational instead of John Cena. I've been sat on that joke, JP, since Sunday. But they're kind of the main news stories coming out of it. I mean, dare I ask you? You weren't planning to be on that spotlight, so I'd hope to think you are a sane man who didn't watch the show. But any thoughts coming out of it on any of those news stories or anything you want to get into?
I watched it, and I think the first thought that came to mind is, and it's probably like influenced by the fact that I watched Fairway to Hell before I started watching Backlash. I was
incredible, wasn't it? Yeah, we should be leading with that.
See that?
We'll talk
fucking should be. Yeah, thoughts on that as well. But this one it made me think of what Gareth had said in terms of the idea that the bar is so low that at points of this you go, that's okay, but that really should never be the level that they're at. It was like I did enjoy the main event, and stuff was kind of okay. We are always going to differ on Danhausen, and Backlash did not change my mind.
It's trending in the wrong direction. Me and Matty are meeting in the middle, like I say, we're doing Austin Brett. But like he's starting to warm to it as I'm getting colder to it, the more the Miz is involved there, pretty much. But sorry, go on.
Yeah. Oh no, I've seen some of those Miz bits as well when he went in, broke into his house. I want to see more of his house. Far too big as well, might I say that. It's just like too much space. But cleaning it would be an absolute nightmare. But I digress. But it's not, I've got no like level of enthusiasm for it other than like, I mean, I would have to say Jacob Fatu would be the like in terms of thinking, all right, can he work to the level, which we would kind of known from when we seen him in MLW anyway, of like, can he work to this level? Yeah. Has he got crowd connection? Yeah. It's just that it was over very briefly, and I'm not quite sure. Well, he's not really the heel. He's just like kind of more of the the thug. Yeah, and giving him the Tongan death grip, which is really smart, just to give him like a kind of like simplest of killer finishers that he's possibly the only, like weirdly, it was better than like Solo Sikoa hitting you with his thumb, which shouldn't do any fucking damage whatsoever to you. Like,
a karate master, you can pull that off. I don't know if Solo is a karate master or not. That was interesting to me though, because I felt like it's because I enjoyed the main event. That was probably the thing I most enjoyed of the show. Whereas actually, I think the booking of, the guys on the undercard was arguably better, Braun Breaker going over Seth Rollins in, not one of Seth Rollins' finest moments. Felt like there was 4 or 5 botches in that thing, most of which were Seth Rollins' fault. But I thought, Braun brought the intensity and, showed why there's something there. So it was good to see him go over. Trick Williams going over Sami Zayn, whatever you think about the fucking gingerbread man and all of that shit, really. Not much going on in ring again, because it is Trick Williams at this point, but that's a step in the right direction. We can talk about the Danhausen stuff in a minute, but Asuka again, we can talk that story, but goes over clean in that one too. In the moment she went over clean, I didn't really know what was going on outside of it, but that's another positive booking thing. And yeah, it was only Roman Jacob where like me and Matty had the whole conversation. What is when are these people gonna have their time? It's all good talking about potential, but you've actually got to put your money where your mouth is, and you can't rest on your laurels and rely on, especially in WWE right now. We got some stories about some of the big contracted people, but like you put a lot of people in, good positions, and the question comes with Jacob: is he in that position just through inertia of working Roman Reigns, and obviously, being the last man standing at the end of the pay-per-view? Although again, they did that with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Where's Randy Orton been since then? It feels like that's just been forgotten, as the storytelling promotion continues to tell its great stories. But they did enough to protect him, even if I guess they felt like they had to have him lose to Roman. Although, doing a rematch, that could potentially be the moment, as Matty talked about, for him to go over in Italy as well. But, I do share, your pessimism as far as the makeup of it, because I do think they've cracked something with Jacob as a babyface. The crowd are reacting to him as a babyface. He's working in there with Matty won't like it, but I would, as a CM Punk fan, I think I'm allowed to say this, one of the most unlikable babyfaces of all time in Roman Reigns, and I think you're seeing that played out in the way the crowd are reacting to some of these segments. They treat Roman like he's a big star, but I don't know about him as long term. He's always going to be a heel, isn't he? And I think there's going to be negative effects to him being that type of babyface, where Matty will say the positive is he didn't change, but the negative is he doesn't change, and it makes it hard to sympathize for him, makes it hard to get the desired reactions for his segments like we got with Jacob. But does it all matter at the end of the day if they do put Jacob over at a show coming up, or they do, again, just through inertia, through work, and working with big cousin Roman in these big spots and being tied to him, maybe that's enough as well. But yeah, the jury's still out on that.
I thought there was a bit of a missed opportunity. And I could understand why they didn't do it, but I did think there was a bit of a missed opportunity, because it would have made sense that you go through, I know it's not draining because he's not fucking working. He's just having a half-hearted scrap and a bit of a slagging match with CM Punk on the build to WrestleMania. But you get my drift. He's put all this emotional energy into that. Here comes a bloke who's a family member, and all of a sudden he's blindsided, and he, it often happens after a big show that the next title defense is the dangerous one, that's the one you lose. And you could have got away with it, up to SummerSlam and seen how you'd gone from there. And it would have been sort of new and fresh, and there would have been a real appeal to that. And I think that would have worked if you then wanted to have him drop the title at SummerSlam, say. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely there with Jacob. Like, it really, much more so, I say much more so than Bron Breakker. I think the layout of that match was just like you said about the Seth botches, and the fact it was too long. Like, that's just not.
He had more bad ideas than good. Was the biggest note I had on that one. They had all these ideas to do all these clever spots with stomps and Seth Rollins' athleticism, and them having to repeat a few of those spots because Seth Rollins' athleticism didn't stand up, including trying to do the Ospreay moonsault and kind of landing on his ass. But it was more. They thought they could do more than that one that they practically probably could, considering where they both are at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was listening to the What Culture review at the time, and they said about the idea of him going for that Frankenstein and nearly killing himself. He really could do with knocking that on the head, or just learning how to fucking do it properly and then having done with it. Because he seems to be
catch him. Seth Rollins Supercard needs to grab his fucking legs. That for me, that's the issue. It's Seth's supposed to be those safe pair of hands. He was anything but in there in that match, but. Yeah, but at least we can obviously fine tune. Yeah,
but at least he went over. Which the thing is with this company, you can get away with that stuff, and it in a brief 30-second to 1 minute long highlight package on Raw, it will still make him look like an absolute killer. So I do think it ends up. The problem with a lot of these shows is it achieves the aims that they want, but it does it in a way almost like, what's the least enjoyable way we can do this, while simultaneously giving you the thing that you want. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's so weird, and it can become sort of so half-hearted into it. I mean, I'd have to say in terms of Trick Williams, you wanted to get this guy out. He's got his catchphrase over. They love his entrance, which is half the fucking battle in that company. And you think to yourself, oh, what do you do with him next? And it's just let's saddle him with a rapper and have him behave like the heel against someone who the crowd are booing at times with his interference, which he shouldn't need any part of. I was just like, what the fuck? Why are they determined to do stuff like this? And the sad thing is, I just thought, why am I thinking this? It probably doesn't matter. This will just be forgotten about by Monday and by Friday. This shit doesn't matter a fucking toss.
Yeah, and it's not going to matter. You note there. They're not it's one of those things with WWE, isn't it? It's not like you don't put kid gloves on when you kind of analyze it. But I do think the goals are different. It's like we talked about the main event. There's no WWE match that's really going out there trying to have a 5-star match, at least in the sense of what we would view as a 5-star match. They're going out there to tell their stories. Just a shame their stories are mostly shite. But I think that's the intent. It's whether they pull it off or not is what you can probably judge it against, and whether they can pull off the type of style of matches they're trying to do, and type of stories they do. And don't get me wrong, I'm saying they can't, because they fucking can't, but that's what they're going for.
And that's reflected, I think, in that Backlash number on ESPN too. The fact it's less than 1 million, and there was competition, but think of how much they've paid ESPN for this, and you can already see they've got buyer's remorse and are thinking, all right, when can we break this, because this is not working out the way that it is. Like a 1 million isn't good enough. Like less than 1 million isn't good enough, and it's trending downhill. And I know it might be too soon, but it's just suggestive of that we are past that kind of cool peak. And these are things that I do think they need to like take into concern. Because even talking about Io Sky versus Asuka should have been a match they crowd up. I thought the crowd were fucking dead for like, but I was just like, they weren't really into it as much. And then I thought about the Asuka story, and then thought to myself, well, is that why they got rid of Kyrie? And then you just thought, well, if she's going to semi-retirement, you could have easily shoehorned it into Kyrie, like turns on it and then joins up with Io Sky, or becomes a rival and takes over the Asuka kind of role, sort of channeling her in a bitch. Could have done something with that. Instead, it's just like, and we've just kind of, that whole storyline's just done and dusted in the most kind of unexciting kind of like puff of smoke that you ever could imagine.
Yeah, and that's it. And obviously, you mentioned the crowd response there. The majority of like the crowd response they got was chanting for Kairi Sane rather than what was going on. I think they got with them eventually, but point taken. I even thought, again, feels like we're completely burying this because we kind of are. But I did enjoy Jacob and Roman for what it was. Play the hits, go into the big spots. Kill some of your moves, as our Gareth would say. But that's WWE house main event type style they do. But like that's you mentioned before about the Tongan Death Grip. I actually felt like that was one of the things the fans least gravitated towards and least replied to. They're reacting to it in the angles on TV, but you're not really seeing it in the matches. So there's a couple of weird spots on the show where you would expect the crowd to be into more than they were. But I mean, that's a great little segue into, we can talk more business numbers in a second, but where the crowd was into it was obviously the other young upstart going over in an old Danhausen, and the joke again. It was just there was like a list of things on this show that were like just jokes without a payoff, and this was a big one. Like I can't believe that the real plan all along was to have a mini Danhausen. Like was that really like the payoff to this joke you've been building up? I don't think they knew what the payoff was going to be when they came off with it. And I'll be honest, I enjoy Danhausen, like, for my sins. I do think he's in the perfect company, but I agree with pretty much what everyone's saying, and I think Matty will be saying it too. Like, they are overdoing it, and they are, I think Swerve said it, didn't he, in an interview this week, danger of overexposing and maybe becoming a bit more of a tired gag. But there's still moments there. There's still, when he used the cloning machine to pull out all the other minis, I did have a little chuckle to myself on the plane there as well. But I didn't quite react to a lot of the other stuff there that they did too. But maybe move him on to some other things, or maybe just take him off TV for a little while. I guess he's your big merch seller, but maybe just using that little bit less. Don't force the Sophie EWR note of you've used Danhausen too much on this show. I mean, you got to be fair, JP. I know you've listened to the new Drake album that came out over the weekend, but even reference in the Drake lyrics, so he's all over mainstream culture at this point. It's just there's still like that conversation I think is valid, as far as utilization, as far as not burning through your Danhausen books, and they seem to be doing that a little bit. But there we go. Yeah, Minihausen was the best working in the match, and with Simon on that.
Which is a desperate state of effect. I'm never going to get it. This for me is
was the second best. I mean, for all honest, I'm never
terrifying. Like, we're going to be talking about a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I'm just like, can he not just do pre-shows for that kind of level? NXT pre-shows, and I'll be fine. I mean, in some way, I just just don't bring him in the ring. Like, honestly, I was trying to think, like, how do you use him? How do you put him on TV without having to ever have him kind of like wrestle, but you've still got Danhausen stuff?
I've had him wrestle so much. He'd be a limit. He was already disqualified from the 5-1 non-wrestlers that we did, and that was a controversial pick. But especially now, like, he's a full-time wrestler. Like, they have him on fucking SmackDowns and everything, doing spots, doing his big booth, and fair play to the lad.
Why can't he use his evil magic to somehow convince Triple H, Nick Khan, and the rest of the booking team that he heads up the shows? And he's in charge, and he can make one silly decision a show, and he turns up, does his catchphrases, and it goes no more than that. And he has, like, inexplicably, I don't know, has Omos on his team or something like that, who does all the sort of. And I'd sooner see him every day of the week and twice on fucking Sundays. Not like he's great either. He's not the second coming of Kawada, but like I can't abide. I was thinking about this. I find his stuff as funny. It just doesn't work for me. You know that where I'm trying to think. What's something that like a popular comedy show or act that you hate and everyone else loves, and it just kind of doesn't make any sense. Most British comedy. I mean, I think of things like Mrs. Brown's Boys. I'm just completely bemused how that is. Yeah, Michael McIntyre. The fact he's a Spurs fan is just the chef's kiss on that. But like, I look at him and I don't get this. Just a man describing how he like walks into his kitchen and just trying to get like an hour's worth of material out of shit like that. That's how I look at Danhausen. Oh, is it funny though? I don't understand it. Like, I even can't watch The Wheel as a result of that. But yeah, Danhausen, he's going to be there. It's just have him in this kind of like brief mini role, pardon the pun, of like kind of like 2 minutes making a daft GM manager style decision, helping Adam Pearce. I don't know, some shit like that, but just not in a fucking ring, and not for 10 fucking minutes either. Like, Jesus.
Well, obviously, the other quick news wanted to mention related to Backlash. Obviously, Raw viewership down again. Do we need to mention it for the second week in a row? Coming off WrestleMania season, JP, and with Roman Reigns on Raw every week. But kind of shows you something about tying into that ESPN story about what the upper limit might be for this Netflix deal with WWE on there, and maybe to tie into that story, we can talk more about it. We talked about it in the negative sense on last week's weekend show, so got to talk about it in the positive sense. Roman Reigns added back to multiple June Raws after being taken off them, so maybe that means he will be making it on the plane to it. He just couldn't miss another Saudi event to say another one, like me and Matty talked about. He never fucking misses them, so he's back on the docket. So maybe that says something about ticket sales. I don't know, ratings. Who knows? And although they've done the ring around the rosy, as obviously Punk has been taken off a lot of the advertising for the summer shows. But as Meltzer said in the Observer today, there's no story here. Well, he didn't say that outright. He just said we were told there's nothing more to this than a schedule change. We all just kind of hope that Phil is blowing up in the background, or maybe there has been some toing and froing about Muddy and who works what date. Maybe it's Punk and Roman are the ones behind the scenes. JP setting up this most vaunted union that they might be getting put together. Maybe Kevin Nash can be the spokesman for it at some point coming up as well. But yeah, any belief in the conspiracy theories there? And any thoughts on that? I guess that maybe that lends credence to, in fairness to, we talked about maybe Roman will have to lose the belt because that show is called Night of Champions. I guess now maybe he can hold on to it. Maybe this Jacob feud, as you say, goes on to a SummerSlam.
Yeah, do I believe in Phil conspiracy theories? I'll always believe in Phil conspiracy theories, because Phil conspiracy theories turn out to be Phil conspiracy facts. That's what ends up happening. Is he gonna fuck about?
Mad about his mate Kofi, maybe. Who knows?
Wasn't there that rumor that there was people were floating around that Jack Perry was coming to an end of his contract and he might be going to WWE? I was like, please let that happen for a number of reasons. I'd be fine with that. But like, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably absolute bullshit. But I just thought, please, that would just be all manner of awesome to see Phil getting pissed off about that. In the meantime, it probably is nothing in between, because I think even Phil knows he can't really fuck around on this one. He needs another year of good boy behavior and another Mania main event, and then he can start acting the bollocks. That's what my prediction would be on there. But I like keeping it. It's interesting just with those Raw numbers. I'm sure they'll end up bouncing back just very quickly on those. Like, this is the range they kind of get into.
100,000 down from last week. And again, Matty could be shouting at us over this. This isn't TV. This isn't the hemorrhaging homes or the 12 Nielsen homes that they use to count these fake numbers. Like, this is Netflix. It just gets bigger constantly. Mostly we'll tell you otherwise sometimes, but 100,000 down week on week is notable, and we're talking worldwide here as well, not domestic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it just shows you the lack of buzz. And if you're losing 100,000, you can imagine that 100,000 people are just like, oh, do you know what? I can't be fucking arsed. And it's like, mate, I know how you feel. This was us. Yeah, there's enough of that going on there. I mean, I know it's a smaller side note, but the fact that the Hogan documentary went after 2 weeks, I have to say, as much as it is massively flawed, but still very watchable for what it is, at the same time, I'm very surprised it's gone, because that just feels like that's that's like catnip to Netflix viewers of like, here's a wacky figure, here's a 4-part documentary about them where you can show all of this wacky stuff. So I'm a bit surprised that's gone in the meantime, but hey,
I've had a few people ask me about it. It's like that one that like we stepdad asked me about, or like a bloke I was talking to when I was away this weekend, just randomly brought it up because wrestling came up, and like, yeah, it has made its way into the ether a little bit. Again, tells you that there are people out there that'll watch this stuff and they've got the Netflix subscriptions and they just don't watch Raw. But anyway, enough fashion WWE. We've got to make things fair, JP. We are fair, impartial, quote-unquote journalists / podcasters. Over here, we do need to talk. We're talking business. If we're talking numbers, as predicted by Simon on the patrons only chat on the Discord, we do need to talk the Wembley numbers. There's a bit of clickbait involved here, I would say, from the Observer website, which is one of our go-tos for news, JP. But some of the stuff that makes it to their pages these days makes me question that. But I think it's a legitimate story here. The headline does say AEW all in 2026 ticket sales struggling compared to 2024 Wembley number, and that is true. We've talked about it at length as far as like the growth goes, and obviously at this point, according to WrestleTix, who are the ones putting the numbers together, 24,347 tickets have been distributed so far, and obviously we were in Texas last year, which is very different, but obviously it was 53,922 the last time they were at Wembley. But if you compare it as far as like where we are at this point, all in 2024, from the Observer here, made more than 4 million ticket revenue on the first day of sales, around 34,000 tickets on the first day. Like, that's obviously we're a world away from that at this point. We haven't even made that number at this late stage here as well. And obviously Tony Khan can confirm that as well. 60,000 tickets for a 6.1 million gate number over there as well. Meltzer even weighing in on this one on Twitter this week, saying under 30 wouldn't be good. Historically, a crowd over 30 for pro wrestling is inherently good. He goes on to speak a bit of Dave speak there as well. And again, I need to caveat this with none of us think that, if they do hit 30, and I'm sure they will, in fact, I've got no doubt they'll hit around that number, that it's a failure or, it shouldn't be lauded as a success. But you can only compare to previous years, and I think a lot of the conversation we've had about these numbers, this year, JP, we haven't hand waved it, but I think we all have kind of gone, well, people are onto it. It's just, it's just slow. People are doing the Benno trick and they're waiting until the last day to see if they can get blue light tickets, or, waiting to see if the prices go down, or, for whatever reason, people are clever now and they realize this far on. I think it's trundling along so slowly that I'm not sure that that's what it is, JP, because at the end of the day, it's not like, I will tell you out right now, bold prediction, don't often do bold predictions here, I don't think they hit 40. Maybe they come close enough that they can claim it. Maybe there'll be, a technicality with the blue light tickets and the gate, or all of that stuff that, that Tony can speak to a council or whatever and make hit that number. Yeah, but I think that'd be a struggle, to be honest. Like, genuinely believe, especially going past it. Like, really, between now and all in, there's going to be 20,000 people who go, all right, I'll get me ticket now. Like, I don't think that's happening. I think 10,000 would be generous. Maybe in that ballpark is probably fair, Again, passing that 30 number, absolutely. I think that's definitely going to happen, but maybe do we need to reassess things, JP, as far as our predictions, our expectations go? Because I definitely feel like I have mine. I'm expecting something in the mid-30s or the lower 30s, and maybe an absolute push to higher 30s. But we were definitely talking bigger numbers than that when tickets went on sale.
When tickets were, I remember us. The big conversation we're having was how close does it finish to the last time? 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, since they were at Wembley, and we were saying around like over 40 is what we were saying. I'm now falling I think it'll be high 30s. I think a lot of that will be a technicality. It'll be 2-for-1s. It'll be blue light, Groupon, all the other ways. Yep, all the other ways they'll end up giving away tickets and things like that. And I was thinking about it, it's like, well, what do you do to possibly boost it? And it's like, the problem is there is this big assumption, I think, that they've made that you can just use effectively social media to do the marketing job and put up a few posters and billboards. And you're going, but that's okay. Let's say the Piccadilly Circus one. That sounds good in terms of it is a rather iconic, like, kind of landmark. Who's walking through Piccadilly Circus? Londoners? No, tourists. Are tourists going to be around in late August? Probably not. Highly unlikely. So ultimately, what does that serve? They're only aiming at London, whereas I think they should be aiming UK. And I think this is where you get into how you want to use, you have to use new media, use social media. What they're missing the trick on is all the other forms of media. We should, like, for example, and it's difficult to do because it doesn't tie in with the storylines, but if Will Ospreay wins the Owen, as we would all imagine it to be, like, he'd be someone you would want on radios on the reg now, like speaking into a talk sport. And I know it's talk sport and whoever, but able to do that, doing your chat shows, doing podcasts, all of these other different non-wrestling media forms to be able to plug this show. And while simultaneously saying, I am this figure at the heart of it, I'm just this lad from Essex and I'm going to be headlining at Wembley. Now, they're not going to do that because you're not going to know what happens until Forbidden Door. So, like, that's
why they sent Big Show instead to do all the footy podcasts.
Big Show. Like, I mean, that's it. They've all of these other people they should be using rather than Big Show, who isn't going to be on it. Or if he appears, it's going to be in some casino gauntlet battle royale or just doing an angle where he delivers a choke slam. That type of stuff.
It could be great, though. Him and Jeff in a three-way, maybe, you know.
But, yeah, this isn't... But Grado's... like needs to be talking about this on the BBC Breakfast Sofa when he's talking about that copper show he does that you like, that I've never seen an episode of. That's what I mean. It's all of those kind of things, and they kind of never made any serious attempt to do that type of stuff, because I think the thought is, well, what does it mean these days? And it goes, but it's a game of inches. It's trying to get a few people here, a few people from there, because almost the marketing line for this should be, we are better than WWE and we're a hell of a lot more fucking affordable. Here's family tickets, and just do family tickets for like 80 quid or whatever, and just try and pack the place with that. The thing I'd also be certain about, this is the last time they should run Wembley, unless they're approaching some sort of massive heat wave. Next year, if you're doing all in, you're doing it in the UK, put all your effort into going to Manchester and the Carp Live, because that's big enough and would look spectacular and be over 20,000 and be indoors.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's again, I don't even go as far, because I do think, you know, yes, they could be doing all those things better. I'm not getting into the conversation about whether it should say wrestling on Piccadilly or people should know what AEW stands for or any of that stuff. But again, we're talking, like you nailed it there, as far as like, these are inches, not miles. These are the differences, you know, 5,000 up, 5,000 down, maybe even 10,000 up, 10,000 down. But like, just broadly speaking, there's only so much. Even if they had the most crack guerrilla marketing team of all time, and it wasn't just one of the Young Bucks' wives or something like that who probably does the job right now, like, even then, I think there's a limit, isn't it, to this? And we're maybe, it's not necessarily a disaster, but we're finding out what the limit is. We're finding out what's the appetite. You know, first time was like, it's a company that's not the WWE running Wembley, or it's just a wrestling company running Wembley, and, you know, people went. Second time did very well too, you know. This third time, I'd probably use the word well rather than very well. But we are finding that, yes, there's going to be diminishing returns, and it goes back to all of those conversations like the first time with it as well. But I think where I do agree with you is absolutely, yeah. Like, and it's not even like, from a business point of view, I'm not even talking about like that. Tony Khan can afford whatever it costs to run Wembley. It's just the visual. It's, you know, you see it, you know, the Ogdens got to go to Wembley. They had an amazing time. You see all these different cup finals that run Wembley, even, you know, the cup final that's on, you know, tomorrow at Wembley. I'm sure it won't be too many empty seats, but when there's more empty seats, it doesn't look great, and it doesn't feel big time like how, you know, you would want it to feel at Wembley. Maybe they can cover it like they did, you know, the second year really well with the Taylor Swift staging and all that stuff. But I do think there comes a point where it goes, as we've often said, you know, we wouldn't have been brave enough to run Wembley in the first place. You know, we would have ran Craven Cottage in the first place. Turns out Wembley was a goer, and they've done amazing with it. Maybe Craven Cottage becomes the option, or maybe something similar becomes the option, or maybe, you know, to the point that you've brought up a few times, JP, and again, not a disaster, but, you know, they do some kind of smaller tour, which, you know, I've got a few related stories to this we can bring up, but obviously, you know, they're running Scotland for the Dynamite Dynamite and Collision there the week before, running the Hydro for those two shows, which interesting decision, as far as like people probably aren't going to do a double header of it, are they? That's probably them determining, maybe rightly or wrongly, we can run there and it'll be a different group of people coming rather than the people who are coming to Wembley. But I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Just expect more of that. It is something we've often talked about as far as running other parts of the country. Surprise you that they're running Scotland there the week before.
Yeah,
I imagine it's not a journey you're going to be making.
It's done without God no. But it's also they've run it. It's like there are all of these. Every major town in the UK and city has a decent sized arena, and it's like I get that if you're running Scotland, it's Glasgow. Pretty much you've got to run as opposed to even Edinburgh, but. Like there should have been a few more. They should have been here for a couple of weeks because that would have built it up and then seen if they could have gone live on ITV4. Just like and I know there'd be the HBO rights restrictions up, but they do a lot of extra hours of TV. I'm sure they could say, so look, can we go live for our partners here before it goes out in the US? But instead, it's just like run Newcastle, run Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham. All of these places never done. The South Coast. It's like all of these places they've never done. And it's just like, why, like, this refusal of, like, no, we're going to give you very little when it comes over. Belfast, Dublin, like, there's all of these places. And that's without even getting to the idea of doing a kind of mini European tour, running Germany. Germany would be an absolute no-brainer for them to be able to. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the coverage of AEW is in France and Germany and Italy. But if there's one thing WWE have noted, there is an appetite for wrestling. That's definitely there. It may just be WWE because that's how people are conditioned. But at the same time, you want to see them make the attempt to do this type of stuff, even if they go cautiously into these markets and try and book 3,000 to 4,000 seat arenas. You kind of want to see them do it, and certainly try and do more within the UK because it's like they're not really delivering. But if this is the end of the kind of all-in Wembley cycle, and this is the way they've done things, then they might just go back to doing traditional tours. And just do it that way.
TNA
just do a traditional tour of the UK. Yeah, tradition. Exactly. And then build to a show at the Co-op. That would be... telly. Yeah, exactly. Do a month of telly here. That's what you can do. Because I think they'd even sell out smaller venues for fucking Ring of Honor and Collision taping. I could see them doing well at the Copper Box with that, but...
I just say I was going to sign off then with, and let's all just enjoy it because I think I'll be there. Let's just all enjoy it for the last time. But it is Tony Khan also, so I'll always point you make you say a logical JP, and it does feel like we might depend on and again they might surprise us. Ticket sales might jump up when the main event's announced or something like that. It feels like it's logical to say it would happen again. It's also Tony Khan, so would it shock you if they ran there again next year and then the year after, and there's 15,000 there for like a Vars Trophy type thing? Like it wouldn't shock you, or we consistent 30,000 at one end, the north stand of Wembley, and we just don't light up the other side or something like that. All options are available, but maybe we'll all need to. And again, it's not a disaster. It'll be, I think Meltzer's right. It's success over 30. It's a wrestling company called WWE doing that many numbers. I did at one point try to research how many attendances over 10,000 have ever happened in wrestling. There's actually not that many. There's a lot of them in recent vintage, obviously, and a lot of them belong to WWE. Few of them belong to AEW as well, but it's not exactly massive numbers as far as those shows go. Like, this is still a very big show, but yeah, maybe we'll just enjoy it a little bit more when we're there in August, just in case we don't get it again. Although, gotta say it, JP, maybe WWE will give it to us, as obviously there has been there was the talk about, I mentioned it to Matty last week, that Dublin possibly hosting WrestleMania, which just sounded like was it a politician talking out of their arse? And obviously, a bit of talk again about possibly a WrestleMania being in, especially the 2028 one being in London. But apparently, the London Men's Office did get back to our friends over at Post Wrestling to say there's been no active discussions on that. But I don't know. Did you have any particular takes on the likelihood of that? I did when Nick Khan did say that there's you're going to be shocked when you find out where WrestleMania 2028 is. It did make me wonder, but again. Taxpayer money, JP, is it that conversation again?
Yeah, it fucking is. It's absolutely. It'll always be that conversation for me because it won't.
Andy Byrne wouldn't allow it, mate. He'll be in charge.
No, he wouldn't. Not the King of the North. He wouldn't have it, and hopefully he wins that wherever Macclesfield is. Is that what it's called, Macclesfield? That he's going to.
Ashton and Macclesfield.
Yeah, that's like if you can become MP there, then that's what happened. And here's me again, like an Arsenal supporting prime minister who I can't fucking stand. It's just like, I don't know how we end up in these bloody positions, but here we are. The problem is with this is it will be the site. It'll be whether or not they're allowed to do the site fee. And when it gets to the London Assembly, where these things get voted upon, the conversation will come and go, we don't do a site fee for BTS. We don't do a site fee for Taylor Swift. They bring in so many more, but don't do a site fee for Oasis. But they bring in so many more people over a concentrated period of time, and they're selling out. Yet WWE need money. It's not gonna be like suddenly there's someone in the world going, oh, there's a place called London. Wow, it looks kind of great here. It's like, no, they know what London is. So the site fee will be an issue. And that's what that's what the game of TKO is. They're not going to do it going, well, it'd be a really good thing to maybe run, do a show in, do WrestleMania at Wembley. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure, aren't they getting site fees possibly for even the Italian shows and the French shows and things like that? There'll be various...
Do site fees for Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, obviously, if reports believe, coming up.
Exactly. So it wouldn't surprise me if they get away with doing it next year in Saudi, that it's in Saudi again. I know that Nashville was spoken about quite heavily, and it'd be that
was the one, Nashville.
They're being offered an absolute fortune to be able to do this. So as much as it would make common sense for them to, and maybe a bragging right of saying, well, we will run Wembley, we will smash the records that AEW were talking about, and we'll make it look spectacular and everything else. Like, I don't think they'll do it because they're not going to be given the economic benefits that they look for on every show.
Yeah, that's more Vince McMahon's playbook, isn't it? Not that, TKO was above, these little snipes and stuff like that, and not above being anti-competitive, but the driving force at the end of the day is that bottom line. So, yeah, I don't see it happening either, but it's always fun to debate. And just while we close off this attendance story, I mean, we hammered AEW a little bit there, but it's not all nosedive. Just to mention, they are still doing well ticket-wise in the US, Double or Nothing, obviously, almost hitting 14,000 at this point. Again, look up the wrestling history on big attendances, very impressive attendance, and on top of that as well, second largest gate ever for an AEW show in the US was in the Observer today as a number 2. So I mean, that says something behind only last year's All in Texas, fourth in company history behind the 2 Wembley shows, which it should be said, even if you can say the second year wasn't as good as the first year, still a massive financial success for AEW. But I don't know, any thoughts on it? We're going to get into Dynamite a little bit later, but is it just, running in the tri-state area with a big show? Is MJF a mega draw? It's a genuinely good number for AEW, and we'll see where it lands on the day. And obviously the pay-per-view buy rate will be the bigger question. But yeah, bit of a success story there amongst it. And attendance have been creeping up in the main, even if Wembley doesn't seem to be trending it absolutely amazingly.
That's it. Yeah. That's the thing is the US, you look at those attendance like quite routinely now, and it wasn't always this case, depending on the size of the arena as well, because sometimes you'll hear, it's only drawing 3,000. It's like, yeah, because the arena holds 3.5. But they're doing like 5,000 and things like that for arenas. They're doing like generally quite good numbers. I know last night's Dynamite I don't think was as good. I think it might have been in below 3,000, but the numbers in the main are tracking up. In terms of why this selling is probably because, again, how often do AEW get to run New York City as opposed to Long Island, which they have done, and they're running New York City exactly. And it looks great. The Louis Armstrong Stadium, it looks really, which is basically like going on. It's not Centre Court or Wimbledon; it's Court number 1. Mm-hmm. So it's the other one. It's not Arthur Ashe, but it still looks really good. And it arguably could look really great. Like 40, that's near sellout because obviously there isn't the entranceway that a tennis player walks through. It's just a small tunnel. It's like the fucking UFC. And then there they are. And then there's the crowd. So they're going to put some sort of entranceway there, but it's going to look pretty. It's going to look really spectacular. And it is a good sign for them. But then that comes on the back of doing lots and lots of hard work with the TV that has kind of gotten through to a wide audience that actually going to see AEW is worth going to do. So I expect it to happen in the US. It's just that, sorry to bring it back, and I'll shut up after this point. If they were running the UK more, there might be like bigger level of excitement to go and see a show. Like weirdly, the idea of trying to hold back and not give people what they want can end up working like against you. And I think this is, I'm ultra hyped for Double or Nothing. I think it's going to be fucking great.
Man, that MSG numbers, like Meltzer reports, so that's pretty much in the range of what WWE does there once you count staging and stuff like that. I want them to have, you mentioned the tennis there, some kind of MSG-like entrance way. Sod it, don't have a stage, just do the little, close to the ring thing, Royal Rumble 2000 style. Maybe we can pull that off. Let's just light it better, let's make it look good, which never happened with Arthur Ashe. How about that? Let's hope that if we want to sling a little negative in there. But yeah, last, I suppose, big discussion news story, JP, before we get to some big hits, also AEW related. What you make of the curious case of AEW and Triller TV?
Yes, so we've got AEW suing Triller TV for nearly $5 million in overdue payments. Now it's a strange one here because really the story is that Triller TV that we think of is the old Flips, like the original name, and Triller itself.
Because you flipped it off your phone. It's and you were flipping it to your TV. They loved all that. Jefferson on the ground floor. Smart man.
Oh, absolutely. But what any profits they're making from Triller TV is going into Triller the app, which is meant to be like a kind of TikTok style app that probably no one here has. No one listening to this show has Triller the app at all in there. So basically, AEW have kind of found out that they're having their revenues that they're generated because AEW makes such a high proportion of the money that Triller TV brings in, and basically not paying them on time, using it to offset what I imagine are massive losses on the app side for Triller, the parent company, Triller Group, as it's in there as well. So yeah, it's all of this just spells the end, I think, of Triller TV and all associated Triller style business. In fact, the only thing that exists still is Thriller, the Michael Jackson.
And Versus, as Brandon Thurston, I think, said Versus.
Yes.
He's not a rap fan, I'm guessing. That's why I actually did have the old Triller. I think it's still going, like the Triller app that was trying to be TikTok, because you had to install. They made it so you had to install her to be able to watch like the Versus rap battles that they were. I think they still do host, and they just don't get as much press because it's not the pandemic anymore, and people aren't sat in their underwear wanting to see what would happen if DMX and Snoop Dogg had a rap battle in an empty studio. Great days, JP. The pandemic, genuinely. Thank God it's wishing for them for it to come back. But obviously, yeah, we never really give it like that merit that like it is a gigantic company as far as Triller goes, and yeah, the whole thing just is a mess. And we could all see it coming. Obviously, the AEW, it was weird with the AEW pay-per-views, and AEW Plus coming to an end, and then the pay-per-views only showing a replay, but you still had to pay the full price. It was very clearly, something was going on, including my AEW being created as well. And obviously, we won't go. Obviously, if you want to hear this full story, Brandon and John did do an amazing job going through it all, and as much as a year ago at this point, Trill, like, they were going to be losing AEW. So if anything, Tony Khan's had a lot of patience with them to this point to take the legal action for the $5 million, owed. And I'm sure I'm not the only one to make the joke. GCW probably owed what, 50 quid, some popcorn, some hot dogs. I don't know, whatever Effie's wage is, maybe they're owed as well. But like, in all seriousness, like, it does seem like a complete mess because Triller TV that we know was, like you mentioned there, the Flips app, and was the fight, all at the fight books, and maybe they could buy the company back with fight books, but genuinely does seem to be actually profitable, surprisingly, especially when you look at some of those Mania weekend shows and GCW. And again, it is AEW kind of carrying that, but like the story is like the larger Triller company is just taking all those profits, funnel it into those shit apps and funnel it into all their other businesses, and then just not paying the partners. And get a joke about GCW, but I'm sure it's a killer for a company like that to do a pay-per-view and expect their split of the revenue and to not get it. And obviously, if AEW are making big numbers, I'm sure it's big numbers in comparison, or at least in context for the indies there as well. It's just a gigantic shit show that doesn't have to take place. And it gets to the point where, like, I didn't even know this was possible. A smaller company suing its parent company for the right to make their own decisions and for the right for them to possibly sell. It was Fubo, one of the People, one of these new streamers that were coming up trying to buy it. Like, I wouldn't say it's impossible. Or, you know, Brett Lauderdale was in the media saying he was expecting it, or at least hopeful there'll be some kind of buyout, and the good people in charge of good Triller, the Triller TV that we know, are going to win out in this war against the big evil conglomerate that is the overall Triller company. But yeah, what a fucking mess. And yeah, it shows that there was a fire where that smoke was coming out of Triller over at least the last, 18 months at this point.
Oh, absolutely. It's dead. I mean, personally...
And it's a great app too. It's annoying, isn't it? Because it works so well. The streams are still amazing. Even WrestleMania weekend, they were great. Good quality. Like, you know, maybe some shows aside, but mostly good quality, and they were probably those shows' fault, you know, overall. Still great.
Here's my thing. If you're AEW, would you not just want to purchase Triller TV?
I was wondering about that. Yeah. But then did they not get the $5 million back? Or do they get it back? They're not that way.
In essence, yeah. If that's going to be the thing that like sort of drives them into bankruptcy and you wanting to get to a settlement, that might be it. Because I was thinking about this. It's like, how do you want my AEW to get some kind of like traction? It is very much a wrestling app for wrestling fans, and AEW fans are knowledgeable about the indies. The idea of having a WWE style network app, but covers all of this independent wrestling as well, who are going to receive money from it. I think that's a win-win, and it's a way of kind of almost getting the landscape of wrestling. And if you're GCW and you're kind of in bed with WWE, you might just think to yourself, oh no, you're back away. It's like, well, yeah, fuck off then. Then get West Coast Pro. But basically you can just say, like, this is the home for wrestling. We've got all of these companies. They're going to be good for the money. They may not be earning massive amounts. And if they want to set up their own streaming business, which a lot of them should just do on YouTube anyway, it's just by far and away the easiest thing to do is just to go live onto YouTube and have it as part of a YouTube premium deal. But if you're AEW, I just think, what does the 5 million actually mean for them? Pretty much fuck all.
True.
What does the app mean, and all of the content within it, and all of the copyright stuff that they've got in there as well, and the idea of owning like a load of indie shows that are on WrestleMania weekend, obviously not next year unless they all plan on going to Riyadh, like that would be something to be actively quite funny, but it also serves as like, if you want to boost some of the shows on a like kind of smaller level, you could send out some AEW guys to some of these indie shows. I think that would be the way that I think they should go forward personally.
Yeah, and you know, as the chat are saying there, like I can attest to that. Like Triller does run better than my AEW app does. But just I appreciate it, Gareth. Nice one. It just doesn't work great. I end up pirating the shows rather than trying to watch them on my AEW. It's just not been great for me. But that's because it was rushed out. That's because, like you say, Tony Khan probably did have these dreams of like running, you know, a streaming app that had ROH and a PWG on it and all that stuff. And it's just had to be rolled out because of necessity, because of all the international markets, and you know, knowing that they were going to be losing Triller. But yeah, it's something we'd all welcome if they could get there. But there seems to be like a bigger, you know, reshuffling in AEW. You know, I made the joke before about, you know, whichever Jackson's wife runs what department right now. Like they're slowly moving past there was the figure deal out there they got rid of this month, and you know, there's other little, you know, agreements maybe AEW are taking second looks at as far as you know, whether they can bring things in house. So yeah, maybe they could bring it in house, but yeah, bring the great Triller technology, but not bring maybe, you know, just to pluck a short me arse, JP, Effie's Big Gay Brunch maybe, and maybe a couple of other the GCW weekend shows. Maybe leave some of them on the side, but yeah, there's other stuff you could absolutely do. But yeah, I guess unless there's more on that, moving into some quick hits, JP, before we get into Dynamite and some of the week's TV.
Yes. Indeed. So Vince McMahon, a slight update on the Janelle Grant case. His attorneys are defending a prolific texter and alleged missing signal messages. So these were the things, these conversations, they were subject to a probe from some of the plaintiffs in the, sorry, it's not the Janelle Grant case, from the shareholder lawsuit in there as well. But which is the different one, but it's the one that's like, I mean, this is one I think that scares TKO in some way, in much more so than the Janelle Grant case. But basically, what they have like as part of it that was uncovered by Brandon Thurston was some of the text messages from Mark Shapiro and Ari Emanuel in there, and the deleted signal messages said there was suggested there was a 2022 meeting between Ari Emanuel and Vince McMahon. Obviously, they have denied that there as well. They said he's a prolific texter. And that the 22,000 messages, 80-year-old man doing that across multiple platforms. They were produced to investors there as well. But yeah, this case it is. Have
you read any of the transcript? There's a bit
legalese.
There's a bit where the judge is getting a bit impatient because Vince clearly doesn't understand what's going on, and like he's trying to like slowly explain to Vince what he needs to read, and then like Vince's attorneys are rolling their eyes, and the judge tells them off for rolling their eyes, and then one of the attorneys says something along the lines of, "Well, you know, you're dragging my clients past 8 o'clock here on a weeknight, and he's 80 years old," and Vince literally says, "Objection, I'm only 76 or whatever year he is or something like that." Like, you know, that got on his wick a little bit there. But yeah, obviously, you know, it stands to reason. Like, obviously, these signal messages that have been pulled out as part of this investigation, and they go nowhere, and it's been shown as well. Like, I don't think that, you know, the Vince McMahon WWE side, the Nick Khan side, their defense of, well, you know, everyone deletes messages, and you know, sometimes we use signals, sometimes we didn't, sometimes we have real life conversations, sometimes we don't. You know, that's why these threads disappear when there's literally logs on all of their phones that shows, like, when Vince goes to speak to Nick Khan, that's when he turns on the disappearing messages and the signal. That's when he deletes his log of messages there. Like, I honestly think you're right. This is the one they should be scared of, because they very clearly tried to destroy the paper trail of the evidence that, you know, WWE only sold to TKO to keep Vince in position, and that was very obviously to anybody with 2 eyes and ears, you know, the reason why that went through, and they didn't look at other bidders. Like, I think there will be a settlement here. I think it's, you know, one of those as far as does it eventually get to court or what, but there's going to be a settlement, and I think, you know, it's just how much it is at this point, because feels like a losing battle, because very clearly the dirty bastards did exactly what we all thought they did at the time.
Yeah, it's just sad that there won't be the kind of level of comeuppance that we would all want for this, and just generally want for them in general as a company. But it's going to go to settlement.
And him as a person.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. But it's obvious. They never looked at any other bids. They certainly didn't look at the Tony Khan bid, did they? That would have been stuff that would have been completely like unfathomable for that. They were only ever looking to sell to one person, and that was going to be the end of it as well. But yeah, another story. Hiroshi Tenzan is going to be retiring on the August 15th G1 card. I'm assuming this is the final, which is happening from Ryogoku in there as well. He is 55 years old, been wrestling for 35 years, as we've all known and seen for recent years. He just looks absolutely shattered. 55. You'd like to think he's made his money in there as well. Had a hell of a career in there, you know, sort of has held the IWGP Championship 4 times there as well. 3-time G1 Climax winner in there, 3-time Tag League winner, over 3,300 matches in his career. I mean, obviously held the tag in most recent times. He'd be tagging with Satoshi Kojima, and then was just part of New Japan Dads and appearing on sort of like special matches in multi-mans in the undercard. It wasn't that long ago that he was like one of the first ones to sort of like, I can't do a G1 anymore. It just simply wasn't up to it. So yeah, he's calling it a day.
Should have done 5 years ago, but yeah.
He should have done 5 years ago. It's been a good career though. So
it's just funny, isn't it? Do you think he was waiting? Think he was like, he wanted to retire like last year. I was like, oh fuck, okay, well Tanahashi's retiring, so I guess I'm just gonna get to the end of the year, and it's just these retirements just keep coming. Like, poor bastards, you know, Kojima gonna be wrestling forever just because he can't find the slot to have his testimonial, to have his Seamus Coleman game, you know, which Everton will be having this weekend as well. A couple of legends retiring too soon. I'll say that. He'll end up back at Sligo Rovers probably, working somewhere else. But there you go. This one feels like a real retirement. But
managing Everton and then hopefully the Republic of Ireland is what I end up imagining to be. His last match for the company was in April 2025. So it's
Tenzan or Coleman?
Tenzan. And Seamus Coleman.
I thought we'd get Arteta next. But fair enough, I'll take him.
Oh, he honestly, that bloke's never like he. Moyes is grooming him for that role, isn't he? He really is. He's got the pencil next in that territory. But yeah, 10's only last match like that April 2025. So like I'm assuming this is just him working at the dojo and doing things like that. But he's certainly not in a ring, and he's probably struggling to walk, the poor fella. So it's amazing he's going to have that one last match, probably against Kojima.
Most likely be the choice, won't it? But yeah, speaking of some quick New Japan news, obviously Dominion fast approaching, but we've got a few matches known for that one now. Official Callum Newman, Yota Tsuji. We've got for the three-way for the IWGP Global title, Andrade against Shota Umino and Drilla Maloney. Fire Pro random button. Yuto Ice and Asuka against Greater Khan and Hanare. Ren Narita against Aaron Wolf for the Never title at Takeshita Sonada. Obviously, as we knew, we haven't talked about that. Probably half the reason I wanted the story in here. And Zack Sabre Jr. and Roy Hill against Yuya Uemura and Taichi is on there. But yeah, Sonada with his grand return to cricket over the last week or so. JP, good to see him back on the territory. Bad to see him back on the territory. I mean, I half expect him to turn up stood behind the former Evil on NXT this week, but found himself back being booked by Ghetto. He's on the bin.
Was he missed? No. Did anyone miss him? No.
Not a soul.
So, like, I'd forgotten he'd gone. Like, when I was thinking of lads who's gone, oh, yeah, Evil's gone. And and Hiromu's going to be going in. I'd completely forgotten about Sonada. Obviously, with Naito and Bushi and Noah, I was just assuming he would turn up there, which might well suggest that there wasn't a whole lot of interest in him as well. And no fucking way should he be beating Takeshita. But yeah.
Other miscellaneous news, AAA holding a two-night Triple Mania this September JP, and obviously we know it's a weird one. They say it's a two-nighter. The Sunday is in Mexico. It's Ciudad de Mexico on Sunday, the September the 13th. But it's not really a two-nighter thing because like one's not on the Saturday. It's on the Friday randomly, September 11th, with location incoming, said the advert that they did actually reveal on the Backlash pay-per-view. I mean, presumably America, JP, you would probably imagine for that one. Just a bit weird and a bit... Actually, sometimes like it's like, AAA is a bit too polished now. I want to take a book, so it's not as exciting. And then every now and then, it's just a little bit broken like this. What a weird announcement to make without actually saying when the first night was. Never mind the fact that there's a weird Saturday in the middle. Strange.
Yeah, it is a bit weird, isn't it?
Is there a 2D pay-per-view that weekend or something? I was going to have a look on that. I don't think
September 10th. I'd have to have a look for that one in there as well. I'm like you. I'm assuming when I saw this, I'm assuming it would be in the US and probably somewhere like San Jose, maybe even in New Mexico, but somewhere reasonably close to the border to tick those boxes. They have the luxury of being able to get all of any amount of WWE stars onto the show as well. Like I'm talking like sort of beyond your Pentas and whoever. You can get any amount of on there as well. So that'll work for that. And then it'll make the Mexico City show feel a bit more different. I don't know. Maybe I'm a traditionalist. Give me a couple of urns and a basically empty baseball arena somewhere on the other side of the country in like Guadalajara or something like that, and the Mexican military all over the place. That's the Triple Mania that I know and expect.
I just triple checked as well. No, there's Money in the Bank, but it's the week before, so a bit odd that they've left the Saturday play. But anyway, other news, JP.
Yes, this is a follow-up from a story, but Quattrero, I think that's how you pronounce it, Rogelio Reyes, he has received a prison sentence in the domestic violence case involving Stephanie Vaquer. He was found guilty of domestic violence and attempted femicide. He was sentenced to 12 years, 8 months in prison, and he'll be credited with 2 years' time already sort of served at this point. Obviously, there might be less time when you get into parole and like in that, but it is expected from the Mexican news outlet El Planchillas that Stephanie Vaquer is going to file an appeal, seek a lengthier sentence in there, and this all goes back to where it occurred, which was in March 2023, where she accused him of domestic violence, and he sounds like an absolutely horrible bastard. as
Don't
well.
often see the criminal justice system run out, and
No.
I'll take it there. Sounds like a win. Good.
Not in cases like this either. Yeah. And this is a sad one for all of us, really. Big Bill's AEW contract is apparently going to be expiring soon. This is according to Fightful Select. In there, he joined AEW in August 2022, but he's believed that his contract is going to be expiring at either the end of May or the beginning of June in there. And it's unclear as to whether he signed a new deal in there, but he hasn't been on Ring of Honor or AEW TV since there as well. Obviously,
you better not be leaving. You better not be using Brian Cage on Dynamite this week. And to be honest, I'll just say it, Chris Jericho on Dynamite every week. I'd just give that TV time to Big Bill. Call me simplistic, JP. I don't know. It might work. It might not work. The lad got over, didn't he? Like, as far as an act goes, and despite being attached at the hip to fucking Jericho and the fucking weird bounty killer bloke, like, why have they never gone with Big? Tony Khan just doesn't like tall or wide people, does he? Like, that's what we've learned from AEW all these years. And yeah, you're only going to get so far ahead. But like, Big Bill should be all over AEW TV. I just say, like, I do genuinely hope for my interest's sake that like it's a big. He comes out. We're going to talk Supercard of Honor in a bit. Maybe he comes out there and that's how he comes back, or he turns up on AEW TV and just murders Jericho or something like that. But if he actually is leaving, like, I wouldn't. Well, maybe I doubt it a little bit with his history, but I could see WWE taking a chance on him because there's clearly a lot more there than there was the last time he was there. Hopefully somebody, if not them, somebody takes a chance on him. If it's not AEW, like, that'd be a travesty for me.
It's insane. Now, he's 39. That would be the only thing, but that doesn't matter at all. Modern day WWE, exactly. He's a young fella. He's a young boy. I tell you where he'd go down an absolute treat. Japan. Just in terms of just coming in there and looking like a good big man who really looks the part, can deliver the power.
I thought that was a talk, and then somewhere in Japan, he'd be
it would be absolutely perfect. If he's not going to be in AEW, I mean, we'll always say TNA, but TNA will fuck it up. Like, I mean, and
that'd be a massive step down.
It would be an enormous step down. I even think like seeing him turn up in CMLL, he'd be fucking great. But yeah, makes no sense.
Well, they've got to clear the decks, JP, as obviously we have some reports as well, and AEW is expressing an interest in working with Mick Foley. I don't know if who's the source of this one. C. Jack, D. Love, M. Kind. I don't know if that one works for it as well, but apparently that's the story. But yeah, AEW are possibly bringing in Mick Foley. I mean, could you see that working in any regard? Like, I've seen a bit of debate about whether it'd be for a match. It wouldn't be. I just don't think even AEW would do that. But maybe you could see him in Darby's corner or something like that, trying to teach Darby the error of his ways, or something with MJF that is maybe a bit like what he did with Samoa Joe in ROH in 2005 when he was ROH weren't paying enough for him to actually work a match with Joe. So in the vein of Steamboat Punk, they had a match where they kind of fought well as a referee for a bit, and that was as much as he was willing to give. And then he went to TNA and kind of killed his retirement step. But anywho, I could see maybe something like that where he gets a little bit physically involved with an MJF, or gives him his comeuppance, or is the one that helps Darby shave his head or something. But yeah, obviously in the outs with WWE at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. And he made that sort of, in terms of the support for Trump, wasn't it? That was the reason why that he just had kind of had enough. And it was like, mate, join the fucking club on this one. How do you say?
There were other points, and he could have made that moral call. But anyway.
It makes it an inevitability that he is going to be in. Just the fact that there's any kind of skull, but he will be coming in. In terms of roles, like you say, Darby Allin feels like the obvious way to go, and having MJF do some sort of attack on him would be the obvious thing. Maybe he makes some kind of an appearance at Double or Nothing. That leads to an angle on Dynamite. You have some promo battle stuff that goes on in between, which would be good for MJF to do. You're building to a kind of like a rematch or something even along those lines. That would, for me, be the direction to kind of go in, but it won't be a match. That much I'd feel absolutely certain for that, and if it is a match, something's gone horribly fucking wrong.
Yeah, I really hope not. But there you go. That's pretty much it as far as the news goes. I had a couple of minor stories to throw in at the end. The other Steiner child considering coming into wrestling. They're always saying that they want. The fucking Nick Hogan still claims he might wrestle at some point. It's like, mate, you're like 45. Like, if you were going to wrestle, you could have done it by now, and you're not doing it. But he looks good, JP. So who knows? Maybe he'll wind up in the wrestling business. And I did throw in as an I'm finally story. WWE shutting down the streamers, the content creators, the people who provide them with footage that they use in their video packages. But anyway, it's probably not those ones, is it? It's probably the other ones. But yeah, we haven't live streamed anything in a while, JP. We haven't done a watch along, so I think we're safe from the bullet of WWE. But yeah, going very New Japan route, isn't it? Of not allowing stuff on the old social media.
Yeah, it never works out quite well. But if it's anything like the ones they do show the clips from, I think they're just. I couldn't watch any of that stuff for more than 30 seconds. It's fucking unwatchable.
To make loads of money, but in the wrong business.
Minihausen comes out, and you're like,
no, that was me.
You all right, mate? Yeah, it's a massive. That's not you, mate.
That was me on the plane, mate. I was running up and down.
No wonder they were looking.
You must be bored of me.
God knows what people on the flight were like when they were looking like, you sat there watching bloody Minihausen in a cloning machine and just thinking, God, what is he all right? No. He's just turned around and
definitely not.
No.
Worst thing on all our laptops is pro wrestling. But anywho, moving on from there, obviously, we talked about AEW there, obviously, with Foley maybe coming in, Big Bill possibly leaving, but what remains is Dynamite from this week and Darby Allin and the World title run. That's been a lot of fun. I remember these last few weeks. JP didn't get a chance to talk with you about last week's Dynamite, but yeah, I do feel a little bit like, last week's was probably the lowest I've been on a Dynamite in pretty much this year, to be honest. It's mostly been a 6-month run of thumbs up Dynamites for me. Feel like this week's one was a bit of a step up, but maybe the heavy lifting is continually being done by this Darby Allin story, which is funny because it's something I wouldn't have voted for. If I was in the room, I wouldn't have gone for, but here we are. We're here, and it's one of the most enjoyable things I think AEW have done. But make no mistake, it's very much the best thing on the TV right now and the thing that's absolutely carrying things as it goes. But yeah, there's a match with Takeshita this week that we talk about. Great replacement for Okada. I think that was a much better version of the match than whatever we would have got with Okada, because Okada wouldn't have German suplexed him off the top rope, or was it the Fire Thunder on the floor there? That was a lot of fun. That's it, Blue Thunder Bomb, sorry, yeah. We got to obviously talk MJF and the stipulation with the hair. Obviously, there's a little comedy bit, which is maybe in the part of Dynamite that I didn't love. Opening Dynamite. See, comedy subjective, JP. Danhausen, thumbs up. MJF, ball jokes, thumbs down. But that is my taste. But yeah, we can talk all that. I don't know. Is there anywhere else to start? We can talk the Owen Howard tournament brackets and all that. But I don't know. I feel like the rest of Dynamite is mostly just putting my numbers in there, and then every now and then you get a weird segue with an 80s Woody Cop action movie or John Woo movie or whatever Moxley and Ospreay are doing right now. But yeah, Darby continues to carry the show for me. It's the thing I'm most interested in.
Oh, he does, and I think then by default, what will end up happening is at the end of the year, Darby versus MJF will weirdly become the feud, even though MJF isn't the part of it. Like, he isn't like. You know what I mean? He's part of this title run, but it's not all about him, even though we know that this is leading to the inevitable, obviously it's leading to the inevitable rematch and him dropping the title, more than likely a Double or Nothing. I never expected it to carry the show. I mean, it just is a tantamount to how good it is. I think actually in the main, this was like a good wrestling episode of Dynamite, but it lacked, like, there were some things on the storyline front where I'm like, I have my reservations about, even if that's not holding it. Say, if we were talking about WWE and this is what it's doing, it'd be like those negatives would be things that we would barely ever mention and go, they're functional, they're fine. We just don't like them as much as this. But the rest, some of the wrestling in this, I thought was really, really good. I'm with you the week before. I'd say it comes down to the idea of 3 hours, which makes me worried for this week. It's another fucking 3-hour one. Like, and it's just like, oh God, is this what it's going to be when there isn't any NHL for TNT to be able to kind of go to? That it's just going to be like, oh God, here we go again. It's, we need them to fill up a schedule. Let's get another extra hour out of AEW, because it doesn't help, and this helps it at least pick up. But I didn't mind the bald joke thing at the beginning. I liked it even more after Gareth shared a clip where they used Laura Palmer's theme over the top, which just added a level of weirdness, I think, to it. But I didn't mind that joke. I did mind the angle after the Takeshita match, which I thought was a really good, fun, like, if it isn't pay-per-view quality, it follows in the tradition of these Darby Allin matches of just escalating in violence and stuff, like the Pac one from Fairway to Hell that we hopefully get to mention as well. But having that angle afterwards, it kind of like, I was just like, you could have left this for next week. That could have been your storyline you do next week going into the pay-per-view. I wasn't that mad on that.
Yeah, it's funny. I like the bit you didn't like and hated the bit that you did like. So that's good. It's a good, good jumping off point. I like it. To be honest, I like the tease of the tombstone because, like, rather than just outright doing it, because it made it feel like, all right, that's going to be the kill shot. Like, that's either going to be the go home angle next week. Because I think Darby's losing the belt to Double or Nothing. I'm pretty convinced of it at this point. And the point's going to be, from all these massive bumps, like the two we mentioned in the Takeshita match and everything else that went along with it, you know, Darby having to do the multiple coffin drops just to eke the win out, and he probably needed to with the state of that shot. Scorpion Deathlock, sorry, not sharp. He was pulling off, even if the Retro Boys were probably rolling their eyes watching that. But, you know, he's having to use his body as a weapon as well as taking all this punishment, and it's going to come to cost him. And I think that tombstone's going to be part of it. You know, Excalibur maybe explained it with, oh, we've seen MJF do this before. This is his amazing kill move. Like, it will be the amazing kill move, I think, in this story. So I was okay with that. Wasn't as okay with Kevin Knight coming out to crickets. That was weird. And just kind of coming out with, I don't think he had no music. Maybe that's what it was. And, you know, wrestling fans need that Pavlovian dog moment, or because he wasn't wearing wrestling gear, maybe people just didn't recognize him. But yeah, he continues to be part of this story, I guess. So at least there's that for him. But like, in the main, I really I enjoyed that as like kind of a cliffhanger at the end. I really hated the open. Like, I think it's years of like, and again, I know I'm a hypocrite because I was saying that I enjoyed the Danhausen stuff in WWE. I was thinking that just stuff belongs in WWE, and they've established over years that the cameras are fucking invisible and whatever, any rules go. And like, that's just WWE, you know, and we've criticized it for 20 years, and at a point you kind of just go, that's what they fucking do. That's the flavor that they sell over there. You know, in AEW, they try a little bit. They try and like, oh, there's a reason the camera's here because, you know, Renee was going to get an interview, even though Renee, who I've really soured on over these last few months, like made no effort to act like she was really going to interview MJF, because she kind of just walked off giggling, knowing that the whole setup was there with all of the phony people stood around who just happened to be balled around. Like, I just think it's like, what am I supposed? It's a bit like when we talked about the Bandido segment, a couple of weeks ago, the swerve one. Like, what am I supposed to believe here? Like, this was a coincidence. This is a setup. This is a TV show. Like, I don't know which it's supposed to be. And it just screams, you know, MJF's one idea too many for me. And I enjoyed everything else. This personally, I wouldn't have done. But that's me. I'll be the miserable one for this one.
No, that's all right. Hey, look, we all have different kind of tastes, don't we, at times? I mean, like, what I did enjoy about it in particular was just like some of the comedic timing for stuff, which goes down to kind of like MJF. He can do that stuff.
Ricky was kind of funny. Ricky was kind of funny. But again, am I watching a sitcom or am I watching a real wrestling show where real people exist?
Yeah, but then if we try and explain what a wrestling TV show is, it's just like the most mental workplace that where like violence against you is to be expected and certainly will never be punished. There's no like HR policy on a wrestling TV show and whatnot. I enjoyed it for what it was, like for that. And it wasn't like it was so overlong. It's not like dragged out promo segments that go on for like 10, 15 minutes or something along those lines. So I could take it as kind of like a throwaway gag. Oh, you're very harsh on it.
It'd be, again, if it was in a sitcom or it was another environment, fair enough. But you know, I'm not mad at anyone who found it funny. Like, you can laugh at the individual moments. That'd be my issue with it. But like overall, yeah, I mean, what do you make of the MJF Derby thing as far as, you know, doing the hair versus belt stipulation? Obviously, and again, I did like that they tacked on the contract sign at the end, and fucking Darby's like passed out across the table trying to get this thing signed. Like, I do think like they're on an uphill battle. I get why people were disappointed that we didn't do, you know, MJF ever being able to go for the title again versus, you know, Darby instead. Because again, hair versus mask or hair versus whatever matches in Mexico, but established over years of tradition as something important. You're kind of starting from zero, aren't you, in American wrestling to get that stipulation over. Again, maybe that's my issue with them leaning so much into the comedy side of it, but you know, they are doing their best to sell this. MJF is doing his best to sell this being something he really doesn't want to do to get to the match. But I don't know, does it feel high stakes to you? Does it feel as big as maybe another stipulation they could have gone with?
Not hair. No, God, I'm with you. You would have done it as the like he can't challenge for the AEW title again or something like that, because you know that would be the thing that would absolutely hurt him the most. American man gets haircut isn't exactly the level of stakes that you really should be doing. Now, what do I think? This is where I think this is where MJF's idea. He thinks he'll do a hair match because this is something that's going to be consistently teased until he does do one. And we thought he was going to do one against Mystico, didn't we, for Grand Slam? We thought, oh, that's the direct, you know, him mask versus hair would have a degree of cachet, particularly, you know, if he was going to be like defending the title in Mexico City or something like that, which they're not going to do, because they're not going to put the title of Mystico, and Mystico ain't losing that fucking mask. Not until he's a proper old fella. So
until the money's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that I think MJF likes the idea of, because it's just like, oh, play into the idea, or I get these hair transplants and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, that might be a thing that kind of works. I'm not with the stip for it. I mean, even though I think the match itself is going to be like, it's going to be properly out there, because this is going to be the end of the Derby run, and you think of like, Jesus, like let's say the bump he took against Pac, where he goes off that very high balcony through a couple of tables, of which he misses one. And you're thinking, all right, where does he go from here? Because there's a few bits when you look at Louis Armstrong, he could go all over the place. Jesus. Yeah, that's
creativity is amazing. I love it.
Oh, it is.
See, I like fun. Don't bully me for it.
And it's funny because the entire title run from beginning to end will be somewhere in the region of, I want to say it's like 36 days. It's a really short space of time. It's like, it's certainly like maybe 36 to 40 days. He will have had somewhere, and I'm expecting he probably would defend against Roosh next week, because they've been building up that unbeaten record, you know, that role that he's on. Obviously, you got the Speedball match that's going to be coming up. You know, is the Speedball match on Collision, or is that on the 3-hour Dynamite next week?
Oh, I'm not sure which of the two. Maybe on the Collision part of that. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So, like, he will have had at least 6 defenses. None of those matches have been bad. They have all been good. This is a title run that we're going to remember, and it kind of defeats the myth of our title runs need to be really, really long, and it kind of fits the character that his title run would be entirely different from everybody else, because everybody else is about getting the title and holding on to it for as long as possible, whereas he is, no, I'm going to make my title shot as memorable as possible, because I'm going to have all these batshit fucking matches in there, and that aspect to it has really worked. And some of this stuff isn't necessarily always reflected in TV ratings, but like, it's that thing where I think
that's the tickets, right? 18,000, big draw. 14,000, exactly. Probably 15.
Yeah. In 10 years' time, there will be podcasts talking about the Darby Allin title reign, and it'll be like, exactly, and we'll be
the dealer's choice.
Yeah, and it'll just be like, let's have a look at it. It could even be 5 years, and it's going to be this idea of how good like was this title run and how much it absolutely delivered. And it's changed my opinion of Darby Allin, because now I would have said this will be the only title run he'll ever have. It's like, no, in its own weird way, it's him winning the title back after this title run, because people are going to go, I hope he wins it, because his title runs are fucking fun and they don't last a long time, but he has these great matches. They're mental, and it could be a hell of a lot of fun. And I think these are the things that end up sticking.
I'm not sure if I want another one, but maybe I will. You know, I don't want another today right now, but maybe I'll want one tomorrow. Like Andy says there, we'll remember this more than Hanger's second one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go. But all I gotta say though, JP, is like, who set the ball people up? Who arranged them in? Anyway, I'll move on. Most of it was good though. But no, I do actually agree. Like, and the chat, really good point there made by Platt that, like, yeah, I'd forgotten they did the hair thing with Utah for mid-card comedy not that long ago. So now you're trying to sell it as important for the pay-per-view. But I think the rest of it is working well enough that, yeah, it's probably forgivable. But we've got to move on from there. We mentioned Kevin Knight. He worked Brian Cage on the show. He was dusted off. Any thoughts on that? Looked good like he normally did the moves he always does, and then he lost. Sound. See you later. Thanks for coming, Brian Cage. Actually thinking that, is there anything like what is Kevin Knight's like outcome? Because I was pitching him as like the Rob Van Dam, you know, in the Kurt Angle Steve Austin feud where they end up doing a 3-way Forbidden Door or something. It just popped into me while I was talking, so I haven't thought about it. But like, could he turn heel? Like, could he do something there? Is that where the Bailey stuff was going? I don't know. But like, the fact that he's still involved in MJF and Darby, you know, they don't do this stuff for no reason, do they? It's not exactly the Wire, is it? Wrestling. It's not that subtle. Like they are. This is going somewhere. It's just where to and for what?
I think he's going to be MJF's protege. It's going to be the idea of he's really young.
I know I pitched it, but I don't know how to picture it. Maybe
it would be a slightly uneasy enough alliance, and it'd be a case of going, but actually, this is the guy who headline shows, makes all of this money. Because obviously, I think the way they built the Speedball stuff is really good, and I'm keep on wondering, is that the match we're getting at the? Are we getting Kevin Knight and Speedball at the pay-per-view? But that, I would say, just it's the mannerisms, it's the side eye and stuff like that he's delivered. And was he physical with? I know they've obviously had a match which Kevin Knight won and things like that. But the idea is in storyline, you could have the idea that MJF speaks to him backstage and says, "Do you know what? You could be really good. I could make you great. Come with me." And it would be like the start of like a different type of alliance. And I'm not convinced on promo stuff and things like that, but then the hope would be if you're having him with MJF, that some of that stuff kind of is able to rub off. There's just a weird thing I could see the fit between them at this stage, because I don't think you can get away with turning Speedball heel. I don't think there's a world where that kind of works, and really that would just be the weirdest kind of like thing of all. Whereas Kevin Knight, you kind of think, okay, you've got him over to the audience, you've got him involved in this storyline. You're not just going to have him say challenge MJF for the title again. I think an interesting direction would be to have him basically turn heel on Darby and join in with and join with MJF.
Could be the way. I mean, moving on from there into obviously the Ospreay verse on this show. The match with Ace Austin. Obviously, we had the Death Rider stuff. We had the Ospreay Mox stuff. We had all of that. All to build, obviously, to the other hard man stable in AEW, which for some reason involves Anthony Bowens coming out, and obviously tied into the Owen Hart Foundation tournament brackets. We are getting Samoa Joe versus Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. I was trying to bring it up then. I did get a text from young Matthew when he found out this match. William Ospreay versus Samoan Joseph is what he sent me. No context, nothing else. That's all I got as a text. So thanks for the spoilers, Matty, but I am excited. Even at this point, it's like, yeah, I would have taken it 15 years ago with Joe, but you know, I think this is a match genuinely, if we're going to say dream match for me, or for my personal fandom and for wrestlers I enjoy watching, and stylistically as well, I love this as a match. I absolutely do. And you know, we'll see what Joe turns up, and we'll see Ospreay's telling a weird story right now, obviously with Moxley and the style of matches that he's having as well. So, you know, a couple of caveats there, but for the most part, JP, sign me up. I'm excited for this, even if the way we got there is interesting to say the least on Dynamite this week. Yeah,
there's a kind of I still don't know what to make of the thing up on the roof. Like it's very weird because it's more comedic than it needs to be. He's the straight face. Well, who was with the tennis ball? Was it Daniel Garcia? Like, I'm just looking at this going like, this is weird. These men are weird. Like, why don't they can they just not have a dressing room to themselves, and they just have to pick these?
Why do you make it outside? You know, that's my first point of contention. You know,
is it meant to look like a prison yard? Those lads are doing.
I think
that
that's what they're going for.
Shivved.
That gritty.
It's very weird.
A Nazi gang at their lair is basically what it is. Isn't it? Like,
it is.
You know, it's Green Street.
It's very Oz. It's very Schillinger trying to bring in what is it? The other bloke, I can't remember his name. I used to love Oz as well. But there is an Oz style vibe. Beecher, that's it. It's a very Oz style vibe for that one there. So I'm not really.
Simon in the chat, the Death Riders is a sex cult. I mean, the evidence is mounting.
It is. It feels like that's the reason why they're telling the cameras to go, because it's fucking time. And that's what those lads are up to there. I find that stuff like very weird, because it's like, okay, where exactly is this going? And it's not like the Owen is setting up, like Moxley's not in it. So it's just like, you're not going to get that. It feels like
no one's in it. That's the other problem with the lineup.
That's
there's 4 people in it, and it's not. Yeah, to keep doing that. We're used to that now, aren't we? We can't complain about the same things over and over. So should we try?
Yeah, exactly. A tournament for the right to headline in the biggest show of the year, and half.
You just ask Darby Allin, he'll say
headliners. Yeah, you could just do that. Just cut out the fucking middleman there.
Jungle Jack jumped the queue. Just go, come on, mate, give us a match.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed him and Mark Davis. I didn't need to see a rematch, but then it seems to be setting up for Davis to win, and then Ospreay to beat Davis as a rematch from there before, and then the match against Swerve in the final. But in terms of the match with Ace Austin,
unless it's Claudio to pay off the story, that's the only reason outcome, which isn't really big stakes to me at this point.
No,
but, maybe Swerve's a red herring, but maybe not. Maybe it's just as obvious as it looks looking at the bracket.
It'd be a strange booking of Swerve if that's the case, and it'd be Claudio in a big. I don't know how you and Matty would react to that with Claudio, because it was like,
again, one of our limited parts of agreement.
It headlined before when it was Hangman versus Ospreay the last time round, so they'd have to headline up. That would be like, well, Claudio, pay-per-view headline. I can't argue with it. I do want to give a shout out to the Ace Austin match, because there's things I've got a problem with it, i.e. Ospreay's part of the Death Riders. He's adapting his style. There's stuff that he's obviously doing, like with the neck and doing the bridges, and people are going to work on his neck and stuff. And the idea that Moxley said to me he needs to give more with his neck, but he's not. At the same time, he's still flashy Will Ospreay, and he's still doing that type of stuff, which the idea is how much of this training with the Death Riders is rubbing off, other than here's a cross arm breaker that you can use to finish stuff instead of a hidden blade or a storm breaker or something along those lines. I thought Ace Austin, I have to say, I thought he was fucking great here. I really did. It just, the crowd didn't give a shit because they don't know who he is, and he doesn't have a personality.
What's the difference between the binging and the dogs? Like, genuinely, what's the difference? Just labels, aren't they? The groups of lads. Ace Austin's got loads of upside. It's just, the booking has not really done him any favours, has he? I think that stable's just desperate for Jay White to come back at some point, which he keeps teasing on Twitter, and then never pulling off, really. But went a bit longer than I would have thought. If anything, I think if you tell him this story, which I think I'm with you, I just don't know what to think about the Ospreay Mox stuff. I just don't. Like, it's just, I think the idea of like Ospreay being taken in by this gang who injured him to work his way back up and to become a better fighter coming out of it, like, I can see something in that. It's just been done in such a hokey, weird way that, like, it's just not connected with me as far as it goes. And obviously, the style he worked in this match was kind of, Ospreay learning his lessons from the boot camp and all of that, but also giving Ace Austin 15 minutes where, as much as same as you, high on Ace Austin, don't know if maybe you need to do the match this week. Maybe it could have come at another point in Ospreay's run this year, but hey-ho, we got Ospreay on TV. So, bit mixed thoughts for me, but I feel mixed overall on, like, the direction this is going, because I just don't know where it ends up, really. But at least we know now, like, that was the biggest question before the Owen was announced, like, what even is the pay-per-view match? And, as Simon says there, Claudio replacing Mox, so he doesn't have to eat a pin, so Mox gets to skip a pay-per-view too. And Ospreay has an opponent in Joe, so everybody wins, and I'm sure Ospreay will beat Joe. Remember former world champion Samoa Joe? Yeah, me neither. Anywho, speaking of forgettable world title runs. But there we go, that was that. I suppose the other big news announced on the show, obviously we had the women's Owen Hart tournament. We can talk the women's solo women's match on Dynamite this week in a second. Any thoughts on the Stadium Stampede lineup? I don't know if I can get excited about that personally. Like, when was the last one? I feel like it was one, like, it wasn't called Stadium Stampede, was it? What was the other match they did about 8 weeks ago that was basically Stadium Stampede, but they give it another name, and it also had the Young Bucks in it because we're just doing it again, aren't we? And Jericho gets something to do on TV. I don't know. It's one of those many things, is it, in AEW, like I say, about having the repeating conversations. You know, if you kept these things special, maybe we will all be excited for this. But yeah, it's another version of whatever that match was called. But quite the lineup, I guess.
Yeah, tell us in the chat what it is, because it's now really bothering me if it isn't Stadium Stampede. And the thing is with the Louis Armstrong Stadium is it's technically a stadium. It's called a stadium. It doesn't look like a stadium. And it's roughly the same capacity as an arena, but it's a way of getting loads of people on. I can't really be... It's like the opening match itself. It's fine and enjoyable enough as wrestling TV filler, which is what they've done. It's like, you know, the AEW, like, they love to fall into their patterns, don't they? And it's just like, right, well, we're going to have what is seen as a couple of really good wrestling matches. We'll have a women's match, will be of varying quality depending on who we put in there. And then we'll have a sort of like a big
Young Bucks party match.
Young Bucks party
where things
match.
happen in front of your eyes, and they exist. That's how
it's fun in the moment. Just don't ask me to recap it. Because it's just like it kind of, you know, it goes on to my eyes. I take it in.
I don't think it was Anarchy in the Arena. Sorry, Simon. So you were mentioning on the last one. There was definitely another one of these matches they just invented, like not that long ago. I'm sure there was another one. Anyway, we're all losing our minds. Sorry, JP.
But can I be excited by it? It'll be fun in the moment. Like, there'll be a lot of fun stuff that happens on it, and it'll be all over the place.
My High Madness. There we go.
Bloody hellfire. Like, that's the thing. I've completely forgotten all about that. I've forgotten about the existence of that. But I'd argue there's too many people involved in it.
And there was the lights on steel cage match
so
last year, that too. Yeah, you were there. The lights on steel cage match. You points out. There you go. There's another one.
I was thinking about that. I was just like, oh, was it that one? What do they call that? It was like, yeah, it was a steel cage. That's as much as I could kind of really remember from it. And there was carnage in Canada between United Empire and the Death Riders. That was the one.
There was the Doncaster Derby. There was Millwall Madness. There was, all these ones. They really existed.
That's the championship when they play either Spurs or Millwall. That'll just be a pitch, just a fight around while a game of fucking football happens in the middle, and there's just fucking anarchy in the fucking stands. That's what championship fans have got to look forward to next year. One of the two. I think the problem is just the teams are so lopsided that it's hard just not to think that the heels are losing here, obviously, and it will still end up with Jericho taking the pin. The Bantu Brawl.
The GRAPPL in the garden, Ewan says.
Lads, you've done the job of getting the title up, because I'm thinking Bantu Brawl is definitely kind of like up there at the minute, but it'll be fun in the moment, and we will forget all about it. And on that front,
as proven by this conversation,
it's just killing time.
Any thoughts on the women's bracket for the going? Persephone, Hazuki, Willow Nightingale, Alex Windsor is the double or nothing match. Mina Shirakawa versus Athena, and Sky Blue versus it's Sari, isn't it? I knew as I say that I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Sari.
How do you pronounce it? Yeah, there you go.
JPGP, 3 E's, like Sari.
Sky Blue can't go over there, can she? Can she?
Say that again. Sky Blue.
Is Sky Blue going over?
No. But that's too many outsiders, is what I wrote down. If you had Persephone in there, I get, because she's under that dual contract. If you had
actually, JP, you pronounce it Persephone? Come on, get it right.
Persephone. Yeah, what she's selling me? I'm a Daz man, born until I die.
I'm a Daz man.
But this is the thing about like this is there's too many outsiders. You're thinking of who is going to win it and take on Tekla to defeat her for the world title. It would have been perfect for Mercedes Moné to come back if that was possible, if there is an injury or something else that's occurring in it. And if you don't have Toni Storm in there, then that would be the way to go. I'm assuming they're going to go the way of Willow and have it as a double title, because I was trying to think of winners there, and it's just like, I've got Athena, I've got Willow. It's like, I don't see, unless you go down the Alex Windsor route, which would be, I mean, you do that for the hometown thing, but let's face it, they did that with Saraya / Paige, didn't they? And that wasn't exactly a rip-roaring fucking success. I was sat on the floor for that.
Wasn't
Some
Norwich.
people cheered, sat on my fucking hands. Yeah, well, fuck Norwich.
Well, loads of them get to Wembley, you know.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? They all get paid that day. But that's it. I'm not remote. There's some novelty value matches in there, but nothing more than that. It just, rather like the men's, it isn't filled with all of these people viewing it as the biggest opportunity in the year to be in the biggest title match in that division at the biggest show
This
of the
especially
year.
so.
Yeah. This, it just feels weak. If that was a TBS Challengers tournament and you replaced Willow Nightingale with Harley Cameron, you just think it's the same thing.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, unless any other thoughts on it on Dynamite before we move on to the other TV and previews, because there's a big AEW adjacent card to get into this weekend, mate. It's not Collision, although they've got a hell of an act to follow after the last weekend. If you haven't seen it, I really want Matty to watch Darby Allin and Pac. Like, he'll have a great time watching that. Even just seeing the gifs of them rolling through the sand and all of that, it was fucking, what a time.
Brilliant. I really, if you want to watch a really fun hour of TV, this one, because there was so much wrestling. The venue, the first thing I noted down was WWE would never run there. That would never be the kind of place they run. But it looked so different and unique from other places. It's like when they ran the Esports Stadium in Arlington. It's not the biggest crowd, but it's a cool venue. What are the venues we talk about in Japan? One of the ones that always gets brought up, and I never remember the name of it, but it's the one with the stained glass windows in the background because it feels unique. This felt unique, even if it was weird to only have like what appeared to be 20 people at ringside, because it's a fucking golf course ultimately, so you can't have them like walking all over the place, and then like 1,000 people in the stands. It's like, this should be like a show they do every year from there, because I loved it for that. Loved Mark Davis winning, loved that main event. I thought that was a cracking hour of TV.
KBS Hall, there you go, Pat.
KBS Hall, that's the one.
Fortunately, Collision this weekend, not from such a memorable place. The Wimpico Youth and Civic Centre. And what we know so far, we have an AEW Women's Belt Tag Team Eliminator match. Sorry, JP, Divine Dominion.
It's this place behind me, because it's also hosting where Supercard of Honor is as well. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, like you say, yeah, it's a big. As I was challenged on the Discord by, I believe, Platt to name a match on Supercard of Honor this weekend, unless Izzy and Dixie are on it against the Carnage Crewmates. I did not know, at least until we got this preview together. But yeah, they did tape also Supercard Showdown, which as our lead into the big pay-per-view that we all definitely knew was taking place tonight on I was going to say on ROH World, but it's on a club. Sorry, it's on my AEW as well now.
It is, and this was also.
I think it is.
What it is on my AEW. That's what I thought. I thought it's going to be on both of them. I mean, there's certainly the potential for both, isn't there?
It says it on Cage Match, so we'll believe it.
And ultimately, it should be on both. But it was also taped at the SoFi Centre at the Palm Beach Gardens there as well. And fuck me, there was a lot of matches. I don't know how this crowd reacted. I'm assuming there was 30 people left by the end if they taped it after Collision. But we had, deep breath, Billy Starks and Marina Shafir defeating Lacey Lane, Maya World, and Yuka Sakazaki. The Death Riders, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta defeated Tommy Billington and Adam Priest. Satnam Singh, remember him, defeated James Tapia and CD Bennett. Josh Woods defeated Angelico in a Pure Rules match. Christ. Red Velvet addressed Viva Van. I don't know how she addressed her, but she did. Six-man championship, Shane Taylor Promotions, remember them? Defeated Eddie Kingston, remember him? Ortiz, remember him? And Mance Warner. What the fuck? Blake Christian defeated Evil Uno. More about Blake Christian in a bit. Lee Moriarty and Ace Austin will meet at Supercard of Honor. The Women's Pure Championship Proving Ground match. Deonna Purrazzo defeated Casey Lennox. Dalton Castle and the Outrunners defeated Baby Keith, Xander Maddox, and Charlie Malashite. Billy Starks interrupted Athena. Athena tells her to listen or face consequences. How long have they been doing this for now? Feels like 2 years. She's graduated college in that time. I didn't even think she'd fucking started by the time that angle began. Survival of the Fittest qualifying match. Zayda Steele defeated Hyan. AR Fox defeated Nick Wayne to win the Ring of Honor Television Championship. Little thought on that as well. Leo Rush appeared on the screen and says tomorrow he will face Fox at Supercard of Honor. The Premier Athletes, Tony Nese, Arya Devani, and Story Denali, whoever that is, defeated. He's got to change the stable up. It shows you how much I fucking follow this. Defeated JC Love, Ricky Martinez, and Ernest R. Alexander. Ring of Honor World Championship Proving Ground match. Bandido defeated Action Andretti. Remember him? And then Blake Christian confronted Bandido afterwards. So that show must have lasted at least 3 hours.
Well, how did you go home to get us into the end of the pay-per-view? I'd like to say, JP, some thoughts on what ended up being on the pay-per-view, if we can call it that, Supercard of Honor tonight. And yeah, it is listed as on my AEW show. I need to register, don't I? Hashtag not my AEW.com. See if I can generate any clicks for GRAPPL. Hashtag not my ROH actually would probably do even better. But yeah, from the same Wickham email, Youth and Civic Center, we have Red Velvet versus Viva Van for the ROH World Women's Television title. We have Nigel McGuinness in a pure title match versus Josh Woods. We have Athena. It's a women's world title survival of the fittest match. Athena versus Yuka Sakazaki, Trish Adora, Billy Starks, there's that name again, Maya World, and Zeta Steel. We have Diana Preazzo versus Diamante on the show for the ROH Women's Pure title, as JP is typing on the document, and I will filibuster until JP has finished typing, because the match that JP is typing is Lee Moriarty, capital O, versus Ace Austin is there also a match on the show, and Bandido versus Blake Christian for the ROH Men's World Title. That is on the show too. Is it me? Does that TV sound better than the pay-per-view? I want to see Eddie Kingston. Where's Eddie? What's he doing?
I mean,
it does sound grim. I'm with Andy.
Yeah, it does sound grim, and it's partly it's the main event. It's like, I can't see a world why you'd put, unless you're wanting to just have Bandido on AEW TV and nothing else the whole time, that you put that title on Blake Christian. He is just not at the level. And don't get me wrong, there's Blake Christian stuff that I can enjoy, like in a very sort of like, that wasn't so bad. But I'm never excited about seeing his matches, let alone him headlining a fucking pay-per-view. But I'm assuming that like, you know, it isn't going to be the case. They probably will go with I don't even know. You can't even go with the women's world title match because it's Athena and fuck all else. Like, unless Billy Starks is going to win it.
Survival of the Fittest is shit. It was always shit to take the pure title.
It is.
Tony's ROH nostalgia is properly misplaced. If he's even paying attention, like I listened to some of his conference call, and like the only notable bit was where somebody asked about Leo Rush, and he was like, "Yeah, Leo had a lot of ideas, and you know, they were interesting." It's just like, I'm never booking him on a Dynamite again, is basically what Tony says. But you mentioned you found it interesting on TV, because the TV got way more interesting than pay-per-view. Like, what is the deal with Nick Wayne losing the TV title? Is it because he's going to Buster Super Juniors? I mean, I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? Because he'd be out there now, so maybe that's why he's not on the pay-per-view. But then AR Fox, who doesn't seem to have a match. What? Don't know what's going on. He doesn't have a match. JP's typing again. Hey, he's facing Leo Rush. Look what we just wished. Look what we wished into a fucking existence. That's our fault. God damn it.
It makes me sound like I'm booking the promotion. I'm still not excited, though. I've had it on 2 matches.
I mean, according to me, you are. I'm seeing you type on the document, JP. You could be making all this up.
Well, when I put the original listing up, it didn't have these matches on it. And then it's seeing the results. It's like, shit, they've literally just announced it on the result. I haven't added it onto the document. It's my fault. I have to claim all of the negativity for that. So you've got 2 extra title matches.
Fuck's sake. Look what you did, JP. Look what you've written to existence.
Imagine you swap them round and you put AR Fox versus Ace Austin for the TV title, which would just be a normal match. That could be kind of fun and a bit all out there. Instead, it's Leo Rush acting the bollocks. And it's Ace Austin with a load of restrictions on him because it's for the pure title. Great. Couple of brilliant moves there. I was thinking about like what Ring of Honor...
Who just lost on Dynamite.
I know.
Great bit of fun.
In some ways, what Ring of Honor kind of should be, and I'm sure it's being angled to be, is that for my AEW, this is the version of like what effectively is what NXT was. It's this original programming for this streaming service that they've got, and you can pop it onto there, and it adds to the overall thing of, yeah, you get all the pay-per-views, you get the TV, but you also get this entire other product as well, which is like, okay, I kind of get it, even if I'm not excited by the product. But You've got all of these other wrestlers who you think you could do something with them. You could put Eddie Kingston in there against Bandido. You could just do that. And it'd be infinitely more interesting than Blake Christian. It's like, would Blake Christian have the better, more flashier match? Sure. But Eddie Kingston is the bigger star. And instead, they're not doing anything kind of like in that way. It's so fucking weird. Wheeling out, it's not Nigel McGuinness for the Ring of Honor pure title. It's just a match with Josh Woods. It's like, okay. Like, does he really feel that strong about having a pure rules match? It's so hard to be even remotely excited by this. And you know as well, there is another, and I've added on 2 matches there. There's another 5 or 6 matches being added on when you include the pre-show as well.
If you're booking it, mate, let's book some good stuff. Let's book some ROH retro stuff. Let's get Special K involved. Yeah. Let's get, I don't know, Dunn and Marcos, what are they doing? Let's get them booked. John Walters, we could bring him back. I feel like there's stuff we could do.
Maybe not with John Walters. Unless he's doing that Trumpy gimmick all over again, which actually would be incredibly prescient. He would get over massively.
We're GPW him. Me and John Walters, but we're GPW. Love that.
Yeah,
Love that style. It was the year after me as well. Wish I was still around.
Who are the Ring of Honor tag champions? There's a question.
Young veterans just guessing because they're a tag team? Oh, maybe.
Is it not Sammy Guevara and another bloke?
Oh. But not with Dustin Rhodes, with Roosh maybe? No, didn't he turn on him? Didn't they turn on them? Didn't everyone turn on everyone? I'm sure that happened.
I don't know. I have no answers to any of those like rhetorical questions that I'm throwing out.
Maybe it's the SATs. To answer Simon there. Maybe it's them.
I'll be game for the SATs turning up. That would be all right. Brilliant.
Justice for Izzy and Dixie.
Imagine they done Bandido versus. Imagine they did Bandido versus Amazing Red as a one-off match. Something like, Jesus Christ.
At Mania Weekend, it was great.
Yeah. This stuff it's so uninspired. It's like, and I'll watch it because I'm the sort of spiteful prick who'll just be like, I'll give this a go. And Arsenal aren't playing till Monday, so I've got a bit of time on my side. Sorry, to finish watching Beyond the Mat.
It's Sammy Guevara and Mortos are the tag champions. I could have guessed for the rest of the week, and I wouldn't have got to Mortos.
Where's he? What the fuck is he doing?
I would have gone with Fast Eddie before what we bought us. Sorry, I'm just naming ROH names now.
Yeah. Like, insane. Absolutely insane for this. Like, this stuff is just like, it's not even like they're trying to find the value that you could have, because they could really do with a Ring of Honor style promotion.
Give it to Scott Demore. Get him to book.
Absolutely. It just needs to be handed entirely away to someone else who is allowed to fail with some stuff and not get it right and try a few bits and bobs.
Sorry, Flash just had the joke of the night, but I can't explain it on air. But if you know, you know. Anyway,
okay. I don't get it.
Speaking of JP reading out names, we skipped along with the TV because of ROH Supercard of Honor, but there is still a little bit of TV wrestling going on this weekend. But yeah, there we go. I don't think the Devils are on this, but we'll see. TNA.
Yeah, a lot of lively stuff this week on it. Again, deep breath. Eric Young wins Battle Royal to become #1 contender for the TNA World title. For fuck's sakes. Leon Slater speaks about his upcoming main event. Mustafa Ali says his open challenge will continue. Nothing's happened at the minute. Zia Brookside interrupts Li Ying Lee. Lee challenges her to fight now. Zia says she won't fight tonight and calls Lee a bitch in Mandarin. I don't speak. He's lost on me. The systems speak. Good for them. Cedric Alexander even says he'll end Leon's reign. The Elegance brand confronted Keith Jardine. Who's he?
Lean mean Keith Jardine. What's he doing on TNA? Isn't he a fighter? Wasn't he a fighter? Am I getting mixed up with someone? UFC fighter? Wasn't that Keith Jardine, or was it someone else Jardine?
That name rings kind of a bell. I'll do this. Yeah. American actor and retired mixed martial artist. I don't know what film he is in there as well. The Dean of Mean in there. And he's 50 years old. And he's in films like Kill Me Again. He's in Cop Shop, Recoil, Over Your Dead Body, Shot Caller, which weirdly appeared in my YouTube algorithm. El Paso 1155. Yeah, Death Warrior. That's a cracking name for a film there. So that's the life and times of Keith Jardine.
Moxley and Ospreay could be in there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, be all over that. Sacktown Street Fight. AJ Francis defeated Casey Navarro. Mike Santana speaks. Daria Ray comes out and announced Steve Macklin is cleared and he'll challenge Santana for the title next week. And Santino Marella came out and announced that Indy Hartwell's re-signed with TNA. Great. Ali and Rosemary with Marie Sard defeated the Diamond Collective of Miller Moore and Victoria Crawford with Tessa Blanchard. Broken Matt Hardy challenges the Righteous to meet him on the battlefield. Oh, fuck, not that again. TNA X Division Championship, 2 out of 3 falls match. Cedric Alexander defeats Leon Slater to win the title before Fabian Eichner, Giovanni Vinci. Remember him? Honestly, just cue up the Ian Wright meme. He's arrived because I honestly thought he was dead.
I think so did the TV, didn't it? I think I read it went off air and then they had to go back to the feed to show him coming out because TNA is always going to TNA. But while you were reading that out, JP, I did have to triple check that these were real results. And they apparently are because they were plugging the forthcoming film, as you noted, Over My Dead Body, as former MMA star Keith Jardine was interviewed by Gia Miller. He promoted the film as The Concierge. I think he got the name wrong. And the Elegance brand came out. They said he was jealous of Mr. Elegance, whoever that is. He said they make him want to puke, said Keith Jardine. He then told the gang of hoes to get out of here. And then Mr. Elegance stepped up to him in security. That's real. That's not AI to answer the chat. It really happened. There we go. That is CNA in 2026.
Can I just say the Over My Dead Body thing has actually got a quite decent cast outside of Keith. Juliette Lewis, Timothy Oliphant, remember from Justified, Jason Segel.
Oh yeah,
who's like Shrinking Fan, like and Samara Weaving, who's in those Ready or Not films.
Oh, that's good actually. I might watch it.
It's an indie film.
Change your mind.
Yeah. A dysfunctional married couple retreats to a secluded cabin to repair their relationship, but secretly each plots to murder the other. But only 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, yeah, probably a bit shit. But there you go.
Yeah. There you go. Well, outside of that, we have tonight, we have WWE SmackDown, obviously. Not a big weekend for WWE, but... there's always going to be a SmackDown on a Friday. We have Gunther. He's going to be deciding whether he wants to move to SmackDown to challenge Cody Rhodes, as we all ask, where's Randy Orton? Nobody's asking that, to be honest. Chuck Williams apparently is returning to the University of South Carolina for a homecoming celebration, and Jade Cargill will speak. No matches announced so far, JP, but that is SmackDown for this weekend, which takes us into the other shows going on. The Rev Pro Rumble taking place this weekend. I believe the Ogdens are going. I think I saw it on the Graps and Claps calendar from the Donny Dome. Jay Joshua versus JJ Gale. Young Guns, Luke Jacobs and Ethan Allen versus the Slater Dojo of Leon and Liam Slater. Joe Lando versus Leighton Buzzard. Alexis Falcon versus Danny Luna. And we have the 2020. Oh, we have another match there. So it just popped up. Callum Newman versus Leon Cage. And we have the 2026 Revolution Rumble. Drilla Maloney, Kuro, Michael Oku, Shaw Samuels, Trent Seven, David Francisco, Guido Briani, Jay Joshua, Conor Mills, and a friend of the show, TK Cooper. The announced names so far.
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch the Rumble, and I have to say, in the main, they've always kind of had fun booking Rumbles. They've managed to book them in ways that are probably better than WWE. It's so weird that the IWGP heavyweight champion is just on a match on the undercard against a lad who's 18. That's weird. I'm assuming it's non-title, by the way. It's just said IWGP champion Callum Newman. It's like, okay. I mean, it feels set in stone.
Yeah, I probably undersold that, actually. I think I see Callum Newman, and my brain doesn't immediately go IWGP champion. No. It's like, oh, yeah, Callum Newman's working Rev Pro. That's normal. That sounds right. Yeah.
A match between two British young lads, and he's the slightly older lad with a bit of Japanese experience. Hey, a fucking IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Let that not be forgotten. If you ask me what's going to happen, I mean, I'll always probably go to, and I know they did things at the Porchester Hall where it felt like Michael Oku, the heel turn is very much there. And if it, like, just judging by some of the results, that's where we are with Oku there. I'd imagine I could see him winning it because he's just he's going to be in full shit heel mode, and he's in the North. And he's always been that London type of wrestler. Jay Joshua will retain against JJ Gale. I know he won, was it the Rev Pro Cup, the tournament they were running in there. And Leighton Buzzard will win the Cruiserweight Championship. I think it's It's how big is this show going to end up feeling? Is there any surprises that they're going to throw out there at the minute? I mean, I won't lie with Rev Pro, and I've obviously a lot of time for them, but I think at the minute it feels like they're kind of like treading water. They're just sort of getting through shows. They're trying out new markets. They've got how much time have they got Leon Slater for at this stage? And they're going to do a thing with Liam Slater at the point beforehand, probably to get some heat on Liam Slater in there in the meantime. It'll probably be fun. I don't think it'll be bad. It's just, I have to say, outside of the Rumble, I'm not particularly excited by bits of it, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. And I'll always give Rev Pro probably a bit more leeway because it's limited resources and they're trying to make the best of what is, let's face it, a very shallow field within the UK at the minute.
You say shallow field, Andy mentioned there, Yotasuji's in Germany the day before, so yeah, that could be one.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler for anyone. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe not. And obviously, Jay Joshua is Ewan's prediction for the Rumble there as well. But yeah, if you're going down, folks, have a great old time. Hopefully, I'll be back at a Rev Pro show coming up around August time this year. But yeah, moving on from there, JP. Couple of other extra shows before we get out of here.
Yep. One last comment on that as well, because obviously it's Wembley. Maybe have a surprise winner as well to build up big matches. But it's not the end of the big matches in Europe this weekend. We've got WXW True Colors 2026 from the Market Halle in Hamburg. We have Ahura and Nicholas Box versus CSI of Luca De Leon and Nordino. Alexander Bellamy versus Katsuya Murashima. Diana Strong versus Jane Nero, Lawrence Roman and Zoltan versus Elijah Blum and Nick Schreier. WXW Tag Team Championships, Los Compadres, Metahan, remember him, and Rambo, not to be confused with Sylvester Stallone, versus Planet Gojira of Mark Empire and Robert Dreisker. WXW Shotgun Championship, Axel Tischer versus Dennis Cash Dulnig, and Peter Tihanyi versus Yota Tsuji, who will be in Doncaster.
Also rumbling on this weekend. I'm sure people are desperate for the best of the Super Junior results. Just say Kozo Vegeta beat Francesco Akira in the day one main event. I haven't had much recommendation, but I think that was the pick of the litter. Daisuke Sasaki versus El Desperado, and Titan versus Master Wato, and Kushida versus Robbie Eagles. Also on those day one shows, and the former's getting the wins over the latters. Nick Wayne beating Robbie X as well. To add to that list, Hayo beat Yo, Raisuke Taguchi beat Daiki Nagai, and Sho beat Yoshinari Kanemaru, and Taiji Ishimori beat Jacob Austin Young as well. How many people are in this year? But there you go. There's your day one results to take us into day two, taking place tomorrow at time of recording. Valiente Jr. versus Daiki Nagai, Raisuke Taguchi versus Master Wato, Yo versus Jacob Austin Young, Robbie X versus Francesco Akira, Daisuke Sasaki versus Kushida, Jun Kasai versus Titan, Robbie Eagles versus Sho, Nick Wayne versus Kosei Vegeta, and Taiji Ishimori versus El Desperado. And then day three is on Sunday, which has Titan versus Daiki Nagai. I think I've pronounced that 4 different ways so far. Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Jacob Austin Young, Raisuke Taguchi versus Valiente Jr., Kushida versus Sho, Francesco Akira versus Nick Wayne, Daisuke Sasaki versus Hyo, Robbie X versus Master Wato, Taiji Ishimori versus Yo, Jun Kasai versus Kosei Vegeta, and El Desperado versus Robbie Eagles. Main events, the day 3 action.
Yeah, my prediction: Nick Wayne wins it, and he might do an extended stay there. Not the worst.
Is he more into him than AEW?
Yeah, just the way they had that video package, like, just felt like, okay, this is something they're taking a bit seriously. So that'd just be my prediction there as well. But not the only thing on in Japan this weekend, because we have the final of the Champion Carnival, of which I've actually got some matches and even got the links, hooky links, obviously, it's me, set out there for me to watch bits of it. I was following our friend Great Bash Heel, Chris, who came out with a few suggestions of matches there, and I've thought to myself, I get a chance, I wouldn't mind catching up on some of these. But the semi-finals, and obviously the final, we've got Go Shiozaki versus Madoka Kikuta, who was one of the lads I saw in a school in Oxford, having a match, not just hanging around a school in Oxford, let's hasten to add. Rei Saito, one of the big Saito lads, versus Hideki Suzuki, which I think is going to lead to Go Shiozaki versus Hideki Suzuki, because that's arguably the bigger match that they can have. And that's all happening on Sunday from the Ibarra Wave Arena, at the Ota City General Gymnasium as well. So probably looking quite fancy. And this, for me, this is certainly tour of the weekend. WSW World Series Wrestling Rise Against days. They're doing 4-day tour. First day, Hindmarsh, South Australia, the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. It's on YouTube, apparently. Probably not for free, let's be honest. Some of the names for this, mate. WSW World Heavyweight title match for the vacant title. Bishop Dyer versus Killer Cross with Scarlett Bordeaux. Women's title, Ash by Elegance.
SmackDown versus, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, versus Shotzi Blackheart. WSW Australian title fatal 4-way match. Matt Riddle, who's the champion, versus Donovan Dijak versus Moose versus Matt Hayter. Then days 2 and 3 are from the Melbourne Pavilion in Kensington, Victoria, Australia. Day 4, incredible list, at the Penrith Panthers Rugby League Club in Penrith. Penrith Panthers, by the way, that's like the equivalent of, they're like the, I don't know, like fucking Bayern Munich of rugby league. They just dominate. They won 4 of the last 5 titles. They're fucking awesome as well. They're hosting this there because some of the roster, apart from the other names who are on here, Gallows and Anderson are there. Eli Theseus, Gabriel Eros, which I think is the Aussie tag team who does MCW. Man Like DeReese is there. Mitch Waterman, who came over to Red Pro for a cup of coffee. Myla Grace, who's I think in TNA. Nick Nemeth is there. Priscilla Kelly. Ryan Nemeth, because he has to be there as well. And Slex.
Take your brother.
I want to see some of this.
Going to Australia, are you? Take your brother.
Oh yeah, exactly. Got to get that tour in there. I even saw I found myself in a WSW wormhole where they're all having a drink and been taken to have some steak or something like this. And I did wonder myself, is the promoter losing his arse on that? Because some of those boys are big. They're not just going to eat fucking small steak and chips. They're going to want seconds and a dessert and drinks all night. They're going to be expecting it to be like fucking Japan. So yeah, if you're somewhere in Adelaide, Penrith, or Melbourne, then get yourself across to World Series Wrestling this weekend.
There you go, and free on YouTube, according to Platt in the chat there. Don't even need an IPTV for it, JP. Which, by the way, in the dodgy hotel I stayed in Kuala Lumpur, the telly had Netflix, it had YouTube, and just in the hotel branded telly in the app section was just a full IPTV that had like Sky Sports on it. It had a full load of working porn channels, which obviously I didn't click or watch even 2 minutes of. JP, unbelievable, what service? But yeah. Actually, the TNA channel was on there, so there was a bit of wrestling there. So it was
took down the password.
I did. I wrote down the password on the link, went into the settings, grabbed them, mate. Of course, I'm going to be logging into them on my telly here. And again, not for the porn channel, for the TNA channel, which is the wrestling company, not another type of TNA. But anywho, that's what I did there this week. So I'll be having a quiet weekend this weekend. Obviously, no Premier League football tomorrow, JP. So I'll be looking forward to the Everton game on Sunday. But what else will you be doing, mate? Watching the FA Cup tomorrow? I don't know. What else?
I'm not mad on watching the FA Cup, if I'm honest with you, because it's just like I can't stand either of the teams, if I'm going to be brutally honest about it, which sounds pretty harsh. So what will I be watching? Shitting bricks until Monday. That's kind of the way my life is at the minute. I said after that West Ham game, I said, I need this league to end. I've had enough. I'm done. I'm coming out of it like I'm a wreck. I'm like aging.
Big
like,
baby face stand for VAR, though, mate.
Hair.
You just turned on Everton.
Oh, mate.
Fuck those.
God bless Everton. Honestly, like I
came off this week, didn't it? 3 games in a row should have penalties or not.
Should have had a penalty.
Random decisions in other games that affected us going the wrong way. All
and Bernardo Silva, the fucking filthy bastard that he is there. Yeah, I'm like eternally grateful for that. Like, honestly, just the fact they took points off him as well. But I need this league season to end. I just need it to end. I'm too tired. I can't cope. I can't cope with after Sunday. Like, it was a miracle I got around to doing time because I was a fucking mess at like 6:30. But yeah.
Well, speaking of which, obviously, JP recapped, I presume, when I was here, everything going on, but you haven't already. Check out Carl's, by the way, Carl's show that Carl wasn't on, but looking at the Steiners and ECW, if you didn't get around to listening to that, get that in your ear holes this weekend. Obviously, time, as JP plugged, always a crack and listen. Check that out, as well as the pre-show. And obviously, apologies for the late notice of us having to reshuffle a few things, but I think it's going to work out for the best. Every show we promised is still happening, just in a different order. So as we've noted, we will have the film club the weekend for Beyond the Mat with me, JP, and Matty on Sunday. Next week, I'm expected to do a GRAPPL Live with Matty for patrons, so keep an eye out for that one, patrons and YouTube members. Obviously, then we'll have the Double or Nothing preview with me and Gareth. Got Marty's, it was going to be Marty's King of the Mountain. We got Sophia's Queen of the Mountain. I haven't even updated the schedule yet, JP. It's in such flux, but Sophia's Queen of the Mountain will be coming up, so look forward to that. Look forward to find out what she picks, and then we'll obviously the Double or Nothing spotlight after that. Clash in Italy, the big show of the month, JP, is coming up, so we'll have a weekend show on that, and we'll be closing the month with Raw Roulette, but do not fret, my quiz will still be coming, just a little bit further into June. We'll have the Fun World Cup show we are planning coming up in June as well, and of course we'll get Marty's King of the Mountain done as well, so everything we planned is happening, just in a different order, with a bonus of the film club this weekend, but again, Beyond the Mat, kind of for you, JP, and something to look forward to, so I'll be watching that. That's my other plan this weekend, same as Blatt.
Yes. Exactly. I'm going to try and see if Vicky will watch it, because I
get her on the pod.
I think she would do.
4-person booth.
I think she'd be game for that. She'd be like, "Oh, this is actually okay because of production values." But I'm really looking forward to rewatching it again, even if I think that when I'm watching it, I'm just going to be saying things verbatim of like Roland Alexander and stuff like that. I'll have all of that stuff in there.
I haven't seen it in years. I am looking forward to it. I've been a bit nostalgic. So there we go. Feels like a good time to rip that Band-Aid, being on the ideas part of the document for a long while. So we're chalking that off on, again, a sad occasion, but a fitting occasion this weekend as well. But yeah, outside that, WW Benno and Hamflet coming out as well. And probably the best one we've ever done, I would say. Hell in a Cell review. So look forward to that too, folks. Come out in non-grapple business. Anything else? Plug JP. Anything else going on? Retro, Steve Tro. Get those. I presume they'll be at some point this month once got us back from his jollies.
Exactly. He's on his jollies. I'll be on my jollies soon, war permitting. Yeah. Well, there's a part of me. I'll be careful not to say the thing that I've been thinking deep down about. If that flight got delayed, it wouldn't be entirely the worst thing that could happen in the history of mankind.
Just take a microphone, mate, and then try and watch some wrestling on the plane, and then you never know. They might call in. Who knows? But there you go. That's
sliced off. I did that, but there you go.
Well, there we go. We got that obviously all that coming up in May. But yeah, outside of that, thank you as always, patrons, for tuning in with us live tonight, as well as YouTube members for sticking with us with my camera issues, couple of dodgy internet issues, and everything involved. But yeah, as always, thank you to you all. Thank you to our patron kings and queens of the mountain, Conor Laughlin, Eddie Sideburns, Chris Platt, Carl Gack, Sophie Hitchcock, Sam Mulvaney, and Marty Ellis. We'll catch you all again on Sunday, 12 o'clock, I think, JP. 12 o'clock. See you for the film club.
12 o'clock. Yendani Bueno. Chichewa. It's a Bantu language. Why? Because it's Bantu Brawl time, folks.
See ya.